I worry about anybody going over now.
Oh, I was worried. Yeah, I'm glad she's not there.
Hi, sweetie.
Hey, nice to see you.
We're on Zoom.
Oh yeah.
Way more fun. Exactly. But we do have
We're joking about that earlier. He's all, I was joking about that earlier with him. It's like, you're clean. Oh, I'm so proud of you. You did good. Tested clean. That's good. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's fun. Oh yeah. My wife lost her sense of smell for like 3 months. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we did. Well, we were out. Well,
Seems warm in here. I turned it down, so hopefully I'm like, oh my. I know. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Oh, she did the same thing. I guess we need to fix that step. 2 people in a row.
Yeah, that's because you know what, you walk this way. They made it hard.
Is this? No, he's, okay.
Yeah, I think that one's off. Yeah, 'cause mine's showing 6:30. Yeah, and then the one here says 6:36. I got a variety going on here. Let's average them out. Let's see. Take calculator out. Yeah. Yeah, he's got to catch a plane real early, and he's like, if I could miss it, it'd be fine.
Is he going out in Portland or is it?
I don't know. He didn't say. I didn't ask him. Probably. I didn't ask him though. Is are you ready? You good to go, Retta? Ready? Okay. All righty. Thank you all for coming. I'd like to call to order the Yreka City Council of May 3rd. All rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty, I thank you all for coming. If you would please silence your cell phones so we don't get interrupted during the meeting. Appreciate it. Today we have a special presentation. We have actually a great a proclamation of recognition of service for the Oak Ridge Mobile Estates. So if I'd like to proudly make this proclamation for the city, if the council don't mind. Proclamation of recognition of service. Whereas the city of Yreka seeks to recognize the contributions and dedications of its residents, volunteers, and collaborative organizations. And whereas the individuals and organizations so named in this proclamation have assisted in protecting from wildfire hazards and vulnerability of the community known as the Oak Ridge Mobile Estates. And whereas through their collaborative efforts, they were able to secure a CAL FIRE grant and complete a fuel reduction project. The resulting shaded fuel break has improved public safety for its residents and the city. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Council of the Yreka City hereby expresses its deep gratitude and appreciation to the following individuals and organizations for the service of the City of Yreka. The Yreka Area Fire Safe Council, Fire Chief Jerry Lemus, Code Enforcement Officer Willow Martindale, Jay Perkins, Larry Alexander, Scott Reynolds, Derek Reynolds, Tim Johnson, George Jennings, Jeff McCauley, Don Helgeson, Peg Boland, and Ken Leo. All righty, well, great. We have any representatives of any of these individuals here? I see Chief here. Is there anything you'd like to say, Chief, in conjunction to that?
Better, because nobody else is gonna do it. No, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I've spoken to previous meetings about some of the work that's been done. And by now you probably have seen it as well, hopefully the citizens that are present tonight. But if you take a look from Greenhorn Ridge, we call it, between Greenhorn and Hiram Page, that whole ridge all the way, it's going to complete over near the top of Jackson Street. So there's a lot of property owners who have signed on. And so it's going to be a really good, call it a shaded fuel break, but it's a great fire break, if you will. So fires won't go up into the state responsibility area, or less chance of them coming into town too. So now all the folks that were mentioned were on the committee or on the ground doing the work, and those folks pushing from, from the side. Fire Safe Council was a big help. So anyway, that's about all I have. If you guys have any questions or anything along those lines, I'll pass on your appreciation. I did tell them at the last or Fire Safe Council that this was coming. So
No, I think it's an awesome. I can't believe how fast that was done too. It was amazing. It's like within I don't know, what was it, a week it was done?
well, more than that, they've been going since the first of the year.
I know, but it
and
just seems like all of a sudden,
yeah,
boom, it was done.
They made incredible progress. You're exactly right.
It was much needed. Like I said, there's been many, problems that we've rose up there, and now that we know that that's safe, it's going to be great to know. That
Well, you saw the enthusiasm from Ruby
Oh,
when she
yeah.
was here that night. She was very, very appreciative. So we're glad that took place.
No,
So
it's
we
big.
need more of that.
It's big to see that done. It was good to see it. Now,
Yep.
if we get some more spots like that around town, it'll make everybody, with the whole Craggy project that was
Mhm.
been done. That's
Right.
people don't understand that that was a huge project that
Correct.
protects the outlines of the city around here too. And because of that project, it actually has, it actually saved us when those fires were going on in up above there at
Mhm.
Hawkinsville and
Right.
started moving south towards Yreka. That actually protected Yreka here
Yeah.
a few years ago. So it was,
Mhm.
that's all these projects make a big difference keeping us safe. So
There's more work to come on the last Fire Safe Council meeting, and I encourage the public to attend. They're generally correct me if I'm wrong, third Tuesday of the month? No, fourth Tuesday of the month. So anyway, there's a lot to be learned, and you can talk to the professionals that do this day in and day out. But there's more work coming between CAL FIRE and some of the Prescribed Burn Association. They're going to try to tie in all those different projects so that it isn't just a spot here and a spot here. They're all there for a reason. And so we know where they're at, so we can better fight the fires from those locations too. So
no, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I don't know if you actually want the proclamation that we got, or do you want to hand it
I'd
out?
probably get it, we can get some copies or
Yes, let's make some
similar on
copies
some
of that
nice
and
paper
send it
like
out to
that.
everybody.
I'll get it to all the different organizations.
Got that ready? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Yes. All righty. Well, that was great. Thank you so much, Chief. Now it's time for public comments. Citizens participation is welcome and invited to city council meetings. Time is reserved at each regular meeting for those in the audience who wish to address the city council. The city requests that the persons addressing the city council refrain from making personal, slanderous, profane, and disruptive remarks. Public comments period is not intended to be a question and answer period. Questions or conversations with the city council or staff. Council members, when recognized by the mayor, may ask questions of the presenter, but no action may be taken by the city council during the public comment section of this meeting. Under the Brown Act, the city council is prohibited from discussing or taking action on any item not listed on the agenda. So do we have anybody that city, and then please state your name and address if you do wish to do so.
Jan Osborne. All that glitters is not gold. I chose that aphorism for tonight because it calls to mind Yreka's gold mining history. And it's also a perfect metaphor for the subject that I am going to talk about. The Yreka Swim Center and Native Park Grant.
I'm sorry, Jan. I don't want to disappoint you, but that item is actually on the agenda. So we
It's
would,
only about one thing on it, right?
I guess we'll leave that up to the mayor for interpretation on whether or not the public
And I
comment.
have an engagement at 7.
Okay, if you want to keep it to the public comment section, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, but you've interrupted my time.
Sorry about that. You know, you can regain.
Okay.
So go ahead.
I have heard in this council chamber a number of times. This grant is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Well, I'm a skeptic, and so I have questions. What is opportune about building, constructing a park that we don't need? We already have a Native American park on Minor Street. We have hiking trails at Greenhorn, and my goodness, there are hiking trails all over this beautiful county for people to access. We have a butterfly garden at the community gardens on Nat Street. And we have native plants galore. Come by 1027 North Street and see all my lupin that are blooming. Go to Greenhorn. They even have little plaques on the plants to identify them. And you can also see them if you're driving on Yreka streets because they're growing up in the gutters. We don't need a park. And we definitely do not need a pool, let alone 2 pools. Pools are luxuries, they're wants, they're not needs. Now, when I couple those with the fact that the location that was mandated more or less or stipulated by the state is one that if you polled the people of Yreka, they would say that's not where we want a pool or a park. We want it at Ringy. So I think there is no opportunity here. What we have is a boondoggle. All that glitters is not gold. The mayor of Yreka is quoted in the Cisco Daily News as making this statement. It's not every day you're handed $8.5 million. Yreka, we've hit the mother lode. Bonanza, that's mine. Not that, that wasn't his quote, but the first part was. Stop a minute. Apply the acid test. If you're talking about gold, you got to do the acid test. And what we have is not a bonanza. We have the opposite, a Baraska. What the city was handed was a list of obligations in a contract form of things that they must do, obligations that they must meet on a certain deadline, each one, stipulations in it that don't allow for maintaining and operating the pool with any of the funds that are in the grant. What Yreka was handed was a pig in a poke. And I don't care how much lipstick you put on this pig, it's still a pig. I'm here tonight because I want to request, ask of you, council members, to reconsider the action you took on April 5th. Return the grant, don't spend any money, don't print up any ballots. And focus on projects for our city that benefit every person in the city, every man, every woman, every child. Public safety, our infrastructure, keeping it maintained and upgraded, water security, fire prevention and protection, which includes beefing up the fire department staff and giving them top-notch training, facilities, and equipment. That's just a few. All that glitters is not gold. And the Yreka Swim Center and Native Park grant is just what's in this jar. Fool's gold.
Thank you, Jen. All righty, do we have any other public comments at this time? Nothing online, okay. Okay, then we will move on. Number 5, consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine, non-controversial, and will be enacted by one motion unless a member of the council wishes to remove an item for discussion. A, approval ratification of payments issued from April 11th, 2022 through April 22nd, 2022. B, approval of minutes of the regular meeting held on April 19th, 2022. C, approval of minutes of the regular meeting held on April 5th, 2022. D, appointment of the city clerk of the city of Yreka. E, adoption of class 16 categorical exemption and purchase of APN 053-643-580 and 053-651-760. A land notice of exemption form, land acquisition for proposed aquatic center facility. F, continuation of urgency ordinance number 864, fireworks. G, continuation of urgency resolution number 2021-51, remote public meetings. And H, waive full text readings on all ordinance on the agenda. Ordinances shall be introduced and adopted by title only. And what is the wishes of the council? And if there's any questions, yes. I would do.
Council Middleton, I will second the motion.
You got yours, okay. Okay,
This is Councilman McCoy. I made the motion. Thank you.
okay. Go ahead and leave your microphones on, please,
Yes.
everybody. Thank you. Excuse me. Just water here. Okay, I'll do roll call. Joan Smith Freeman,
Aye.
Paul McCoy,
Aye.
Corey Middleton.
Aye.
Debbie Baird.
I would like to vote
Oh.
aye on all of them and no on E. Can I do it that way without changing anything?
We'd have to start.
I
all
think
over.
not
you-
to start, you have
This
to-
is the motion.
He's made a motion on all of them,
So you'd
so
have to vote. no
I
on
think
all.
you could make a second motion, Ms. Baird, and you would want to make a motion to approve all items except E, and then possibly we could pull that and have a discussion about that. Or
And then it would need a second. And
someone else would
doesn't
then make
second, it
a,
would
Right.
die
You need to
yeah,
have
For
a
lack of a second.
so we've already had a motion and a second, so we're just doing vote and roll call on that, so we're kind of past that point. So it's basically you're just saying no
To all of it?
to all of it at this point in time.
That's unfortunate. Okay.
You can make a statement about it.
Yep.
You can vote yes, but make a statement about
Absolutely.
particular
Your concerns.
differences that you might have as a council person.
I'm concerned that if this doesn't pass, that it will be very difficult for us to sell this property. So if it was just put to the side for a little bit, I'd be okay with that.
and just for clarification, this is the first step in purchasing this property. This is not the purchase.
It'll
This
come
is
back in
just
front of
a
us still, yeah.
Oh, then I'm
CEQA
good.
exemption,
Yeah,
yeah.
it still has to
I'm
come, it still
good.
has to come back in front of us
Yeah.
one more time.
I'm good.
Okay,
Thank you.
and then I, Dwayne K. Guy. Excuse me. as I drink
Was
some
that
water.
an aye or a good? It's a good vote.
Oh, that's an aye.
All right, we'll move on to number 6, old business. City manager agenda title, Yreka Swim Center Native Park, cure and corrective legislative action, April 5th, 2022, pursuant of California Government Code, Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Jason Ledbetter, the city manager for the city of Yreka. And hold on one second. Let me just get. So this is just some housekeeping. We did have a member of the public address another item in relation to the April 5th meeting and how the motion came to pass. Our stance was that that individual was incorrect because we would be moving forward. The direction from the council was to come back with the ballot measure language. And at that point, a vote would be had, and then members of the public could speak to that specific motion. But in in thoroughly analyzing how the item was brought forward, we did notice that on the agenda, there was not basically a recommended action. And so we did decide to do Kieran correct language. So I'm just going to read formally what we're doing here tonight. So the April 5th, 2022 agenda item titled 9A, discussion and possible action, Yreka Swim Center and Native Park, did not reflect the recommended actions for the city council to consider. The recommendations were included in the city's staff report that was posted with the agenda, but not within the agenda itself. In compliance with California Government Code 54960.1 to cure or corrective legislative action, staff is reposting the agenda item for consideration and the recommended action based on the April 5th, 2022 meeting proceedings. It is important to note that this recommended action gives direction to staff to prepare ballot measure information for council consideration at a future meeting. The future meeting would request approval to place a general tax on the ballot and include 1, ballot measure language, 2, the adopting resolution, and 3, the proposed ordinance. Adoption by the city council requires a 4/5 affirmative vote by council members. Ballot measure language is generally prepared by the city attorney and reviewed by the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration, otherwise known as CDTFA, before being presented to the city council for action to place measure on the ballot. Once approved, the city clerk would then take all actions necessary to facilitate the election posting of the proposed measure. So based off of the last meeting, here's the recommended city council action. Direct staff to 1, prepare the Cisco County November 2022 general election for a 0.5% sales tax ballot measure for the general fund to primarily fund maintenance and operation of the Yreka Swim Center and Native Park project located on Foothill Drive. Other city parks, necessary fire and other essential city services, and 2, authorization to expend grant award funds to proceed with work on CEQA, property acquisition, and engineering authorized under the grant. 3, in the event that the ballot measure fails, staff and its subcontractors shall cease further work on the Yreka Swim Center and prepare a letter to the California Parks and Recreation returning the grant. So that is the language of the motion at the April 5th meeting for your consideration tonight.
Well, I'm going to open up to, is there anybody else that wants to speak on this first? Do we have anybody that wanted to make a comment? And then I'm going to open it up to the council. I'm open up to the,
Audience?
actually, I'll open up to the audience here, the citizens, if there's anybody that wants to speak on behalf or just voice their opinion, that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna close it to public comments and then I'm gonna open up to our city councilmen and women. Is there any comments? Yes, Joan.
If I may, since I'm the one that made the original motion, and it was a
Correct.
little bit confusing at the
Yes,
time that I did it, because it came out in the original minutes as a 0.5 cent, and that was not correct. That's what I want to correct it, and it is corrected now. It's actually 0.5%.
Correct.
So it's 50 cents per 100 as opposed to $5 per 100 is what it is. So I'm really glad to see that it's been corrected.
5 cents per
5 cents?
100,
No, it's 50 cents per 100.
50 cents per dollar.
5
No,
cents.
1/2
Yeah.
of a percent.
About $1.
So 1/2% would be
Yes.
1 cent of a
not-
dollar, or is that what you're saying?
No, it would be less than that. Would be half a penny per dollar.
Half penny per dollar,
yeah.
yeah, not 50
Right.
Not
that
per
makes
dollar.
sense.
No.
And that was the confusion the last
Yeah, I
time.
was gonna say.
That's the reason I had it pulled, Councilmember McCoy, is because it was confusing. And now it's clear. It's 1/2 of a percent, half of a penny. And so I'm happy with this. I think that, we can go forward and the citizens will speak. and they will let us know what their wishes are.
Mhm.
I've had a lot of people since that meeting talk to me about it that are in favor of it. There are some that are opposed. And so actually, this is a good opportunity for the citizens to speak, to talk, to vote and say what their wishes are. I personally believe that a pool and the park is an asset to our community. Our community is growing slowly. But this is a beautification, if you will, as well as a service to the citizens of our city and the outlying areas. Because we've had a pool here since the 50s, I believe. Now we have no pool, and we're very fortunate that the city of Montague has agreed to let our kids go over to Montague as a temporary measure. And we're going to be talking about that later in the meeting. I've been working really hard on that. And we're very fortunate that we've got a temporary solution, not a full-time solution, because they can only take our kids on Tuesday and Thursday from June to August to the fair. And so if this is just that's a temporary solution. I believe, in my heart, I believe that we should go forward with this. We do have the grant funding. If this does pass, it would give us the funding to be able to maintain the pool.
I want to piggyback on what Councilwoman Smith Freeman said, and that is that I've been doing a number of things this month because I like figures. I try to be subjective. My wife and I took all the sales tax that we pay, and in everything that we have purchased in the state, we typically purchase probably 90. We're not like kids anymore, so we don't go to Medford except for see the doctor and stuff, because we're so old, you got to go see the specialist out there. So, but we did figure that I think the raise, we figured that our raise in sales tax, now we didn't buy a car, we didn't buy a trailer, we didn't buy anything major, I understand that. We only, and not all groceries, a lot of people think that groceries are taxed, and they're not. If you get a prepared meal, it is, but a lot of your groceries are not taxed. But we figured that it would change our taxes from somewhere probably around $38 a month to about 42 or 43. It'd be about a $5 raise per month on our sales tax. And I'm not a big tax person because I was in retail. I had my own retail, and I felt like I sold big items, and I lost money when people went to Medford. But people that go to Medford are going to continue to go to Medford. They go to Medford for a myriad of reasons. I used to tell them you could spend $60 in diesel. This is like 4 years ago. Spend $60 in diesel and go up and save $69 in a delivery fee for your stove, if that's what you want to do. And then you come home and hook it up, and that's what they wanted to do. So I think it's definitely a hot button item. We live in the second highest tax state in the nation, second only to New York, the state of New York. We all get tired of paying for it. We all get tired of lining politicians' pockets. In defense, and I'm not putting the blame on, I'm looking up at Retta, and I'm not putting the blame on anybody long-term, but this council, the Yreka City Council, for the last 12 years, and the city of Yreka has stuck their head in the sand about a pool. I'm not trying to, I'm not picking on anybody, and you know that, Jason. I'm not picking on anybody. And council, I think you know that. But they have stuck for whatever reason, they've stuck their head in the sand about, we're only talking about the pool now. We need to pull our head out of the sand. It is something that we do need to fund. We would hope that it would give us a funding stream for the pool that would be up here. If not, then, I think that all of us are probably going to go back to the well in 2025 and say, we need it, we got to have it somewhere. Is it an ideal location? No. I was up there the other day, and I know people have talked about no place like home. They're worried about that up there. And as I drove around up there because I used to live up there when I first moved here 37 years ago up on Sierra Vista, I noticed that basically all that Section 8 housing, so it's not changing. It's not changing the nature of anything up there, putting in new housing. It's all Section 8, except for, I think, the one retirement community. As I said, we got to quit sticking our head in the sand. We do need to move forward. It's not a right for them to have a pool, absolutely, for anybody. But we need it for the pool and we need it to get Chief Lemus a piece of property here in town. It gives us a funding stream for a piece of property for a new fire hall. Because many of you probably don't know, but when they order, a lot of times, equipment, it has to be cut down to go in our fire hall. We don't own our fire hall. We use our fire hall rent free until we move out. Once we move out, it goes back to the original owners, which would be the Lay family or whoever whoever's the closest relative. So, I mean, there are a number of things large projects that we are trying to fund. We're a very solvent city, and I believe I will speak for all 5 council members. I believe that we want to stay solvent, and I believe we don't want people, we have enough potholes, and we're trying real hard to get those fixed. There's only a limited amount of money. The city has got a huge project going on Main Street right now that is going to benefit 75 to 150 buildings on Main Street by putting in laterals. Everybody's having their own lateral, which 100 years ago, you didn't need it, or 80 years ago. The city is moving forward with money that they have obtained and money that is categorical specific for only one thing, and that's water, sewer, and that sort of thing, and redoing how many blocks? Over on the other side behind Grocery Outlet and Dollar General, 5 blocks or 6 city blocks we're going to start redoing on Burgess.
Yeah, that Burgess project. Yeah, that's.
I'm sorry, I know I'm bringing
that's
something
about
up.
5, and I'll talk about that later. My staff
And
report
I
that.
apologize for that, but this city is growing, and it may not be growing exactly the way we want it. We've got some new stuff going out there at the liquor store at the north end of town. We've got another service station and with some other businesses that complement the service station going in up by the truck stop. We've got an Arby's. We've got a new car wash. There's a lot going on. We don't have the big box stores coming in, I think, and I'm going to say that's probably because we're 50 miles from them. So, but I support this, and I support the way it's written. And I do think this council responsibly wants to see this pool built. They want to see it built. I'm 30 years a school teacher. I think the kids need it. I think adults need it. I think people my age need it sometimes. So I will support it.
Thank you, Paul.
Sorry,
Appreciate it.
sorry. It's just not that big of a tax for me.
No.
It is for other people, but not for me.
Oh, my turn. Oh, just real quick. Ms. Osborne is gone now, but I would rebuttal to her saying, why do we need another park? Why do we need a pool? Why do we need this when we have it? My question to her would have been, why not more? Just because you have 1 park, why can't you have 2 parks? Why can't you have 4 parks? Many cities have several of everything. And so I think having another park adding to the beautification and where our citizens can visit, enjoy, and tourists or whatever is just a great opportunity. A pool, I support it. I support it from day one. As I said in the last meeting, I live in the city where people from out of town always said, gosh, you go down to the city and they have this, they have aquatic centers, they have great theaters, they have great everything. Well, you pay for that when you go to check out at whatever you're buying because they have a 9% or a 9.5% sales tax added on. So the citizens have to pay, for those, added service privileges of having a great city and a city that provides for the citizens, kids. Maybe some people won't use the pool. We'll probably go up there, but my body's not getting in the pool where people can see. So I will go enjoy it. I will see the citizens enjoying it. But I am, I don't have kids. So I'm a true supporter. I will not change my mind on going back. I am full speed ahead. As Councilman McCoy said, responsibly, this council, excluding one, sorry, but support the pool and moving forward. And I just see the great opportunity that lies ahead and for this town. And I've heard from several people, you know, and I heard from a couple of people that are so, but as far as the tax goes, they're not complaining. I heard more about the location than I hear for them going to spend an extra, you know, 20 cents on top of their tax bill or whatever where they're buying. But I just support it, and I looking forward to moving forward.
Great, thank you, Corey.
Mhm.
Debbie?
Debbie Downer.
I didn't call you that.
No. And I respect all the council members for voting their conscience. That's what we're here for. And I think the city of Yreka should have everything that we can afford and maintain. And the history of the city of Yreka has been that we have not been able to maintain our properties. That's the dilemma I have. If we take on more properties, how are we going to maintain it if we're not currently maintaining what we have? So yes, I would love to have everything if we can take care of it. But what I would like to hear is a little information from Chief Lemus regarding his portion of this bill. Everything is focused on the pool, and this tax measure is including
It's more.
your end of it. And I'd like to hear what discussions you've been included in and how you've been represented at the table and what you want to do with the money and that kind of stuff. If you have time.
No pressure, Chief.
You can thank Debbie for putting me on the spot.
It's okay. If I stumble, I'll get back up again. So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, members of the public, no, this has been a hot topic for sure.
Mhm.
To answer some of your pointed questions, I haven't been approached by anyone up to this point. I mean, we've been discussing things, you know, amongst ourselves as the fire department goes. I get questions. But, you know, it's a great opportunity potentially for the fire department to make some improvements to our current operations, mainly staffing. Every once in a while, I come to the council meeting and introduce one of our new candidates. And like I said, that's one of the best parts of my job because it reinforces, you know, that's who's going to help you guys. It's going to help the citizens. But over time, right now we're at 23. That's kind of a misleading number because unfortunately, it's just the way it is. We have 8 people now that work for CAL FIRE. So we have them for a portion of the year, but obviously going into fire season, and 5 of them now are 6 of them are currently full-time employees. So they don't factor in to a daily staffing pattern. You know, what we have is people that are dedicated, as we always have. They show up, they take care of business, but those numbers are dwindling. They're getting less and less sleep. They're having to run calls by themselves on medical calls because that's what we have. I can't do that during the day all the time. I do when I can, but I've got a full schedule as well. And we're not complaining about it. You don't hear us saying, hey, we're in dire straits, because we get the job done and we're not patting ourselves on the back. We just do our job and want to be left alone. But if you're going to ask me what I think this money would be well suited for, it would be staffing based on what I just told you. Plus, as we go forward, the calls are increasing every year. I joined in 1994, so you can do the math. It's been 28, 29 years, all volunteer efforts. Had some great people, met some great friends, but I'm fearful that as we go forward into the next 5 to 10 years, if we don't start doing something now to combat the increasing call volume, we're going to be left with a very small and worn out volunteer department. And I would be negligent in my duty if I didn't bring that to your attention. The timing of this is kind of, interesting in a way, but it does allow that to bring up for discussion. So I'm not sure what the amount was. If I haven't heard of any amounts that would be agreed to as far as what the fire department would receive. I think it would take, I'm thinking in that measure in that neighborhood of, half of whatever that tax money is for us to have any kind of a semblance of getting a couple of positions and doing something with that, paid staff, wages and benefits. As Retta can attest, she's done the homework. Fully paid staff with, where we had 2 shifts plus a relief shift. We have options, but just that alone would cost us, $2.5, $3 million. Wages and benefits are going to be your highest cost. We all know that. Your business folks, that. So my biggest concern is that we talk about kicking the can down the road, burying our head in the sand. I'm not going to point the finger either, but it just seems like over the years, the fire department has been supported tremendously through all different kinds of fundraisers and Measure H and the councils along the way, but we're missing an opportunity somewhere to make it better. We need a fire inspector. I spend a good part of my time now on all these projects reviewing things that honestly are above my head. I have to go out and spend more time trying to find experts to help me make decisions. And that's not comfortable. I don't like doing that. I like to be able to go to training, but they're hard to come by. But there are people out there that would fit the position well as fire marshal, inspector. That's just one thing. But we also need the folks to be there for vegetation management type projects. Mount Shasta City does that currently, or did with Chief Mello. I'm not quite sure what they're going to be doing in the future, but that's another way to get to people. Fire prevention programs. We do what we can to go to the schools and teach that, but they're volunteers. They do it because they want to. Their kids are in school, but we can improve tremendously what we already have, but not without people that are getting the compensation they deserve. So, and this is not a slight on any of the efforts by any volunteers in the history of the department. It's just the way it's going. I'm anticipating we're going to be over 2,000 calls easy this year. And that's, every year it's on an exponential rise. And I can show you the data if you want to come to the station, or I can bring a presentation here before you, but there are options. We can do paid call for staff, but that's again, depending on volunteers to say, all right, I'll take a shift, and depending on if it's really compensation they want. They also cherish the time with their families. So it's a complicated issue, but I think we're missing the boat and we're behind quite a few years. So.
Yes, Mr. McCoy. Chief, I understand the call, we've been talking about the call issue for 2.5 years now. Since it's been a hot one, and I understand there is a possible way to get some help with that and using some categorical dollars, perhaps working with CAL FIRE. And I know that, I think, again, I'll speak for the council. I think we all support that. I think, and we all talked about it when we were with at the barbecue with the fire department about 2.5 years ago. There's a finite pot, no matter what we do, whether we do a 0.5% or whatever, whether we split it with the pool or whether we split it with the pool and fire and law enforcement. The most important item right now seems to either be a fire hall or hiring. I know it was recommended we hire 4 full-time firefighters by our last
Study.
Which, I mean, for me, would bankrupt us. We'd be bankrupt in 4 or 5 years. I don't see the city hiring 4 more firefighters in the next year or 2. Now, they may choose to hire, start with 1 and go to 2, but having 2 or 3 lieutenant sergeants, is that a more effective use of money? Not better. Let me ask, a more effective use of money than putting money into a new fire hall at this time? Let's say you have a 5-year period where you can do one or the other. Which will be the most effective and benefit the fire department, not the people, the fire department as an entity?
Tough question. We were already before this discussion really, and I had plans down the road on a workshop to come and talk about staffing, but since we're on that subject, we've been working on, as you know, the planning grant. We're all but there, getting approval for a planning grant for a new fire station. There's potentially money there already for us to purchase some property, as you're probably aware. For the funding for construction, that's a different matter, of course, we all know that. Honestly, I'd have to say, right now, probably staffing would be, I'm not going to say more important, but as equally important. I mean, the station is not likely to fall down, but yet that's a good thing because we're planning. We're not waiting for it to do that. We're moving forward on and being proactive.
So a station could be moved 5 to 10 years in the future in order to hire more staff is what is kind of what
Mhm.
I'm hearing.
Well, I mean, if you want my honest opinion, I think it can happen concurrently with the right thing. If this measure was to pass, I think we could make it happen concurrently and not lose any time on the station. I wouldn't want that. There's one thing that's come into play, and I've been saying it the whole time, to Jason, to Retta, the folks in our meetings, is the location of where that station would be is important because volunteers have to drive their own vehicles from work, from home. And at times it can be difficult to get through traffic because they don't have, I don't think Chief Gilman's gonna issue everybody red lights and sirens. So, and I can't do that. But having said that, where that station is becomes less of an issue when you have paid staff, because you're gonna get that first response out quickly in compliance with NFPA standards, and you're not gonna have to worry about that. So
That's a good thing.
that,
That's a
does
good
that answer your
comment.
question? Yeah, I think that's how I feel. That's my honest opinion. Because we've already been working on it. It's not like, oh, let's do a station while we're at it. It's been in the planning, so.
Okay, no, I appreciate.
And they're
that.
both needed. So
I'll
if there's
get
gonna be
back up here.
something, promoted or proposed for sales tax, I mean, I think I'd be remiss if I said, no, we can live with, a third of it or a tenth of it. I mean, we need a pretty fair amount. I mean, we could do a lot of good with, $400,000 or $500,000. But, and it's not just because, well, we want to go have paid people. There's all these other projects that they could be responsible for when things aren't busy. And I can go on for, an hour on those things.
So you've made a very cogent point, and
Okay.
that's.
'Cause I don't want to
needed hear
carry on too
that
much.
part, so,
So,
yeah, thanks.
thank you, Paul.
Question.
Can I ask a question, Debbie? This was your
Yes,
your
as long as you
time.
don't move on until I'm
No,
done.
this was your time. So if you want to
No,
continue.
please,
I just,
please. ask
I
away.
guess this is a general question because I was gonna bring this up when it came my turn. Is we haven't really discussed this as far as the funding part of this. So we've kind of said, we said, okay, if we're gonna do this sales tax thing, great, move forward, but we really haven't said what's going where. And that's a big concern of mine, it really is, because I know this is going into a general fund, so we can't really say specifically, but
I
as a
understand.
council, we can say we did this on the last one, on the last sales tax raise. It was earmarked specifically for certain things, and that's what it went to. It's went to the roads, it's went to the fire, or excuse me, to the police station and stuff like that. Those were the things, the infrastructure that was supposed to go to, and that's what it's went to. Everything that we've spent that money on has went to what we promised. So I guess getting back to this it's a big concern of mine, and I definitely, my view is, if we're gonna do this, I say, in my opinion, in my thing, that saying half this money needs to go to fire protection. I mean, it needs to be. So if we're saying we're gonna get an upwards of $1 million or $900,000 or whatever that may be, then half of that needs to go to fire protection. And that's the way that's my own opinion, but that's what it should be earmarked, and that's where it should go, plain and simple. And that's why I'm glad you brought this up and had Chief Lemus come up here, because that's what I was gonna have him do too, because I want his voice and his opinion, and I need to voice my opinion on that too, because it needs to be said that it hasn't been really said yet. This is something we've been kind of skating around and saying, oh, we want it for the parks. It's primarily for the new swimming pool, which is what it's going to go to, but it needs to be, we need to like earmark it saying, I want this. And 10 years down the road, we definitely, we don't really have that control, but we do at that point in time as citizens, we'll have that control.
a new council
We
can
want
change
that.
it.
I was gonna say, we can't make promises sitting up
Yeah,
here
I
because we
was
have
just
3
gonna say-
people up for reelection.
We,
So
well,
this whole
we
thing
have
can
to be
change.
very careful. If we split it down the middle and we say 50% is going to the pool and 50% is going to the fire, then we are allocating the funds and we need to put that
can't.
up for 66 2/3.
Yeah.
If we do it the way that you say,
I know.
I agree with you that we need to support our fire department. Absolutely. Totally agree with you. But I don't think that we can allocate
No, we
it.
can't.
It's
We-
going to the general fund and we need to be able to both support the fire department
Absolutely.
and to be able
I
to
think we
support the
need
pool.
to make it as a,
And
my
other
view,
parts.
my view is I say that, we can't forcibly do that because it is going to general funds. The last tax raise that we did went to general funds too, and I think it was misleading to some of the citizens that, way that was worded in the last time we did the tax hike. And that people need to know that it went to a general fund, but everything that went into that general fund, everything that goes in general fund from that tax hike does go to what we promised it was going to go to. So
Well,
that's,
I think it's what we direct the city
Staff.
manager, yeah.
Right.
But I mean, I think what Councilwoman Smith Freeman is saying is that we can't direct. it.
specifically do it. No, I
We
get
can't
that.
direct it prior to, but if, once
Right.
it goes through, then we could direct the,
Right,
but then another council,
right,
because 3 of us are for reelection.
Which I,
right.
Another council could decide
Mhm.
change it.
which I totally agree with. And I'm not saying that it goes that way. I'm just saying that we need to, as a council, need to make that commitment. I'm saying that I want that commitment to be made. I want to say that commitment needs to be made as long as I'm sitting here and we're overseeing the budget as a council, we do, that money goes where it's properly supposed to go to. So that's my statement on that.
I could support it. I just don't want to go into a 50-50.
Nope.
A
No,
49-51.
Nope, and I'm not, that's
But I-
not
but
what
we
I do.
have to be
You know,
really
It's
careful.
gonna be, we know that it's worded to use for, it was in public safety and,
It's in necessary
parks.
fire and other essential city services is the way that
okay,
it's put.
well, I mean, yeah.
And that way it would go on the ballot and it would require 50% plus one vote.
Plus one.
If we do what you want to do.
I didn't say that.
Then it
No,
would-
you're putting words in my mouth.
No, you said
I-
you wanted us to
no, no,
say
no,
it
no, no,
right
no.
here.
I
And
didn't
if
say,
it's-
I didn't say it was gonna go in front of the citizens that way. I said that we need
No, I know.
to make a personal commitment. There's,
This
don't
is
put words in my
public.
mouth.
No, Dwayne, this is public and it will go into the minutes. And I
Exactly, and
think
I did
we-
not say that.
I think we need to be very careful that we are asking for a commitment.
I-
We need to be
Yeah,
careful.
and Councilman Smith Freeman and Mayor Kay, I did not take it that you were saying that. All I was saying is that it's gonna go out to general.
Exactly.
When we talk to people, you never know, we wanna help out essential services, fire, police,
Right.
roads, and the
Right.
park. And at that point in
Absolutely.
time, and when I've talked to people, I've said, it'll be the council that is sitting at
Exactly.
that time
Right.
that will make the decision. And I think that's what he's doing. I think that's.
And
what
that's what I'm saying. I'm
That's
not
what
saying
we're
that
talking-
we're changing that. I'm stating that as a
Yes.
council, this is what we're
Yeah.
moving towards. This is how that funding will, as long as we're sitting here, is gonna get directed to, even though it's going to the general funds, it's going to 50+1. I get that. I'm not changing that. I'm not saying that any other way. I'm just saying that we haven't made that statement as a council. This is the first time we've made this statement. We have not made a statement prior to this saying that we want some of that money to go to the fire department. We pretty much just said is going to the aquatic swim center. That's it. So we really haven't fine tuned that.
But I made sure that it was in the motion, the necessary fire and other essential city services, because we knew that some of that needed to go to the
I
fire.
think
But I think I just am cautioning that we need to be careful in how we're directing it now.
I'm not changing the direction.
Because it could be interpreted by, like when Dusty came before us.
Mhm.
And he was saying, you're saying you're going to do this with us, then you need to put it differently if you're assigning the funding, and that's what we can't do.
So
Well-
may I ask some questions?
Yes, please.
Why not?
The verbiage on this is going to state 0.5% to be used for these 2 items? Is that what the
No.
verbiage?
Basically what it says right there.
It says Yreka Swim Center and the Native Park
And it
Other
doesn't
parks.
specify the percentages.
No,
No,
other
you
city
can't.
parks, necessary fire and other essential city services.
So it could be as little as $10 to the fire
Could
department.
be, depends on the city council.
Depends on who's sitting on
Or
city
it
council.
could be as
But
much
that's
as
not going to happen.
Or it could go
940,000.
all to that. if we
Yeah.
wanted to. So it's,
Okay, but
It depends on that.
yes, sorry.
follow me a minute, 8-10 years down the road. Relax.
I'm fine.
8-10 years down the road, if the heater on the pool goes out, whatever, if a part for $1 million goes out, if I'm a sitting council member and we have a choice between coming up with $1 million or paying that back, the 8.5 million, I'm gonna say fix that and sorry, fire department. So I'm still not comfortable with this.
It's totally understandable.
You are gonna have a deferred maintenance. You're not gonna build, no government agency builds anything without deferred maintenance. It's just like when our city manager said, no government agency builds something without a funding stream. That's why we either have to have this or we can't build. You're not gonna build anything without deferred maintenance, because what about if we lose, we get 2 cop cars that get in an accident and they're done, and he can't say, well, you know what, we're just gonna run 2 officers short till the end of the year, and then we'll see where we can find some money. You've got to have deferred maintenance. You know that with this pool, you're gonna replace within 20 years every one of those solar panels, maybe sooner. If you can make it belong to, my brother just does these solar farms in Southern California, 100, 200 acres. The panels have to be replaced every 20 years, sometimes sooner. So
So
there's a cost.
I'm totally
Yeah.
aware of that. What I'm trying to point out is that the city has not maintained their deferred maintenance funds for our buildings. So what gives you the confidence that they will start for this pool?
A new city manager.
And a
This
council
city-
that has moved
No
forward to
pressure.
doing that.
No
This-
pressure,
Hot
Jason.
potato.
Jason's the 3rd city manager I've been through. You guys have maybe been through more. This city manager gives me the confidence, because he also gives me the confidence when he says, you know what? You gotta have money, you gotta have the funding stream to do this. He's looking, we're making a decision, but he's giving us his, and Red is giving us her personal, their
Knowledge.
thoughts on it, financially speaking. He is a very responsive city manager, the most responsive of the 3 that I have worked with. I will
Hands
say.
down, yes.
And,
Okay, but he did tell us that we couldn't afford this pool.
Absolutely. And the way the ballot,
Without the
the way the
funding.
ballot is.
Let's
is
make it
put,
clear, without
It
the
is,
funding.
it's like
This
that,
makes
but-
it affordable.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the other thing is, just like we can't go back in time and say to councils 12 years ago, why didn't you fix, you should have fixed a pool. We can't go forward in time until councils, I mean, maybe when, in 4 or 5 years when Jerry's retired, we can't go forward in 5 or 6 years when all of us, except for maybe Corey, will be off the council and say, well,
No,
you
how
guys
about that?
need to spend this money this way, because they're gonna make I mean, I've seen some, in my opinion, in the last 20 years, I've seen some wacky spending on this council. I mean, one of the council members wanted to build a $20 million cogeneration plant.
Oh, years ago.
Yeah.
I ran against one who was on for 8 years, and they wanted to cut 6 feet off the front.
yeah.
They wanted to widen Minor Street. And when asked in the debate, in the debates, they said, we're gonna
Yeah.
cut 6 feet off the front of the north side. And 6 feet off the front of the south side of each building. And I said, how in the heck are you gonna, so we have people like that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
We can't control them, but we can control what we do while we're on this council. And you're asking great questions. Thank you.
Yes. Continue on.
Because the past, sorry, real quick, because I'm sorry, but it just to go back to the past is coming back to haunt us. Replacing a forgot about theater, a forgotten pool, a forgotten about police station forever, a forgotten about fire hall that's been there forever. All these old infrastructure buildings have been kicked under the table. And now we're getting the heat because we are a council that is, and with a city manager who is listening, who is paying attention to get these things up to where we have a great city again. Because like I said, coming back, the city looked very bad at the city I grew up in, the town I grew up in. Things falling apart. And so we're gonna sit here and get the heat. As a council, maybe it looks like we're spending a bunch of money and unnecessary money. No, this is necessary for the future generations down the road, not as a community, as a next 5 people sitting here, you know? But if I had to worry about what was going on, a community would not have anything. I mean, a new fire station is gonna have maintenance too. You build that, few years, that's gonna have maintenance. That means guaranteed forever, or even if it was brand new. So
Maintenance on the old one.
I'm gonna be quiet and let Debbie back cover time, because we all took
Poor
it.
poor Debbie, we took every-
Poor
all of her
Debbie down
time.
there.
Now you-
I
you
see
ran
a
out of time, that's why you can't talk.
Yeah, really.
Well, and you know what I think, I'm sorry. We put Jerry on the spot.
And now you're just-
And I'll take my responsibility in not having chatted with him about it before. I think that's
Same
the
here.
hardest thing, and Jerry, I apologize to you.
And just one more thing, Debbie, I'm sorry.
She's like, "No, no."
And also, Jerry, you know, you're right. We haven't discussed this in here. And you know why? Because we were supposed to be talking about the planning grant. And the planning grant for the fire department was supposed to be discussing the future.
Mhm.
And so we just haven't quite gotten there yet. You're absolutely right.
And that's why I want to talk about this. This needs to be talked about. This needs to be, we need to have further discussions about this. This is not, I don't think this is the stop or the start of this discussion. There's going to be further discussions for years to come. If this is what the direction we end up going, there'll be further discussions every time we plan a budget, it's going to have to be discussed. It's going to have to be brought back up. So it's something that's going to be ongoing from here on out, but it needed to be brought up now, I feel, and I'm glad, thank you for coming up and talking about that, because
sure.
this is important to me, getting to, I'll get into that, but Debbie needs to finish because everybody keeps interrupting poor Debbie. So,
What did you do? You must have made somebody mad, huh?
She did.
She did not break the can.
Sorry, go ahead.
I did not, true. What else do you think we need to know? And were you asked what amount of money and did you need to accomplish what you think you need to accomplish? Because did somebody tell you 0.25% approximately? And I know we're not doing that.
No,
Nobody asked you how.
no,
much
this is the
money you
first time
needed?
I've discussed this topic with anyone on the council.
That was come out of the planning grant that we're not doing yet.
Well, if I may, this is the city manager, Jason Ledbetter. I think we've heard tonight from Chief Lemos that there are opportunities at the fire department and with the fire hall. And I think I would suggest that maybe you could direct staff to work with Chief Lemos just to start devising maybe the 10-year strategy on the opportunities and how to address those. And we start from that point and come back sometime in the summer to discuss that, knowing that we don't necessarily have a secure funding stream, but at least we start discussing the opportunities and how we can address them in the future.
absolutely. No,
Good
thank you,
idea.
Jason. Yes,
Perfect.
because it definitely needs to be discussed a little in further detail for sure.
But we didn't put a lot of pressure on you there.
No,
No pressure.
Debbie,
Can I?
yes. Are you done?
No. I asked you the question about what else do you think we need to know? Do you want to answer that?
Well, I think it's more, yeah, it's important because I think it's easy to overlook it. Many times I've talked to people in the community, and there may be people in the audience tonight, and be honest with yourself if you feel this way, that they think that we are a paid department. Part of the reason is of Measure H, which the membership at the time and, city staff, council members, they all partook in the push to get it passed. We replaced all the apparatus in 12 years. We've been really good stewards of the money, I think. Having Retta as a rock to bounce ideas off of, I mean, she's incredible. And a lot of the ideas that we're working on now were her ideas. So in terms of, keeping Measure H healthy, which it has been, I lost my train of thought there. An additional part of it though is if people think we're paid, that's good because we're doing a good job and we keep coming back and we're providing a service and they like that. So to continue doing that, I think it's more than just paid staff. I understand that's something that would have come your way anyway, regardless of this particular issue. It was just a timing issue. So, so the department's been volunteer as long as, well, since 1856. It's been in existence that long, and then they reorganized somewhere in there many years ago. But all those years, the savings that were accrued should have been accrued by the city for not having to pay paid staff. I mean, even just go the last 20 years, because it probably should have been started then. We're not going to go there, but just think about that in terms of if now 20 years down the road, none of us are here, and you find out you still have a volunteer department and things are falling apart. Not that they will. It could very well stay the way it is, but I don't think, in my opinion, it won't go that way. If the community grows, we have a lot of new things coming in. If it grows and we get more population, that's going to mean more calls. That's going to mean you need more people to handle those. And a happy volunteer staff with some paid staff, it can be done. And there's a lot of examples out there that we could follow. But I would hate to see that opportunity, washed away because, it wasn't thought through correctly. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen under any circumstance, but we need to be careful with the whole thing that we may be handed. Hopefully it does pass. Hopefully we have that problem to deal with. But I want to just make it clear that there's been many, many years of savings that should have been probably, stuffed away somewhere, but we can't go back that far. But going forward, we can do some really good things. And I think we're starting that. So my hope is that we just keep it going and not, fall off and, let things, fall by the wayside just because it was too difficult. And I have confidence in this council. I've seen a lot of good things. As I agree with Mr. McCoy, Jason's doing a great job. He is super responsive. And I think during his tenure here, yeah, we can do some really good things, but it's going to take everybody. And I'm for the pool. I mean, I grew up in weed, swimming in the pool, learn how to swim. And I don't want anybody to think that I'm not for the pool. I am, but I think we need to be very,
Prioritize.
very good stewards of the money. And should we get to that point, and make sure the public understands what's in the ballot, what the measure is all about. And as much as we can explain it, without stepping on toes or whatever, I think we should do that. So.
Okay, thank you. And I have a couple, let me review my questions.
And Reed has two pools. Reed now has two pools.
Yep.
Indoor and outdoor.
Okay, I have to admit that my concerns are bundling. Got that, Mr. Henyon? Bundling.
He's not on there.
Bundling a non-essential with an essential. I think that's an unfair decision we're asking the community to make. The estimated costs are only estimated, so we won't know the real cost of this until we're too far into it to say never mind. I mentioned the history of the city maintaining the property. That's a concern. And the fact that we can't control the general fund. That's kind of out of our hands. So I'm really about the necessities first. And I hope we can accomplish what you need to, because I know if we can't hire people, we need to clean up the way the calls are done, for lack of a better word.
And
I think you guys are working on that.
we are, and I have some additional information for you, not for this meeting, but
Yeah.
when it's convenient. And I'll probably close by saying, all things aside, I think that, like I said, it's an opportunity and no more than that, but it's time. I mean, it really is. I see, like I said, one person going on a medical call, they might meet up with the ambulance who has two. They get it done, but it's always a safety concern of mine that, they're going to go because they don't want to have a second tone. They want to make sure they're doing their job. But, today's a crazy world. I mean, we see some pretty strange things out there, and I don't like having just one person on, responding. If something happens on the way to the call, the ambulance doesn't get there. I worry about a lot of those things, and I wouldn't want to have to come to you guys or have you find out, hey, something bad happened today because of this. And it could happen even with full staff. Don't get me wrong, but to a volunteer, I was one for many, many years. So
Volunteers get burnt out.
yep. And we were that close. We've been discussing the call volume in our department, sometimes yelling and screaming, for 25 years at least. And it's a separate issue from this, but it drives that whole paid staffing.
Yeah.
We just went through an ISO review, and I'll just say that, that's something that will really help in the future is maintaining and improving our score, is having people that can take care of a lot of those issues that we have to have and submit, every 5 years. So that's a very important tool. So one more for the book.
Was Measure H a general tax or was, okay. So I would point to that then if Measure H was a 50+1.
It was a 66.
66 and 2/3. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, I thought it was property.
I thought.
No,
No.
It is a property.
It's an assessment, so it is a 66
Assessment.
2/3, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's different. It's different.
The 0.5% income tax that we have now is targeted for what as a general assessment?
It's general fund money that comes in, so it's a 50+1, a
To
50%.
be used for, do you know what it's to be used for?
At the discretion of the council during budget hearing.
Is, again, being new, 3.5 years, is there anybody on this council that thinks that you
So
have
we
ever?
it's basically earmarking it like the back of the day for infrastructure as in our streets and roads and oh, Retta wants to. Oh, there you go, right there.
Can somebody read it? I can't see it. Oh, wait, maybe I can.
It's the same one you have here.
Oh, it is?
It's on
So this is Measure C, so this is your
Oh, that's the
50%.
last one.
This is the
That's the last one.
50%
That's
plus
Measure C
1.
that we did.
Jerry, Retta,
Whoa.
Chief up there, and Dwayne and Joan and Debbie, because you've been here longer than a lot of us. Has the council been true to make sure that money has been spent in the right places? Or has there ever been a time when the city or you've got either somebody within the office or within a department has said, no, we're not, you guys are wasting the money somewhere?
No, I think it's been extremely imperative for this in past councils, and Retta can chime in, that on the road side, that I believe roughly $400,000 to $450,000 be used for chip sealing annually.
And the rest of it would go for safety, public safety, which is fire and for police. And I see the chief of police up there nodding his head. So I think we've been very fair as we can be.
The reason I ask is that would give me no reason to believe this council would not be fair in going forward
Absolutely.
with whatever they passed. I'm
Absolutely.
just gonna, and I'm done.
Okay. Debbie, don't die on us.
I'm sorry, Deb.
Man.
Don't cry, Debbie. She's got
Thank you, Chief. I
bad
appreciate it.
feelings.
I just want to add, I'm glad you came up and
Sure.
spoke.
Yes.
This is something that needed to be discussed. And so I'm glad that Debbie brought it up, because I was going to have the same thing. We bring it up too.
Right.
And we'll have more
'cause
discussion.
I'm available anytime to discuss anything that you want to discuss regarding the fire department. I'd be more than happy to sit down with all of, when we can, individually. I'm totally fine with that.
I would
Times
suggest,
have changed, and like you were saying, the volunteer basis can be up and down, and
Mhm.
to prepare for the future and be able to have some money coming in
Mhm.
to accommodate a paid staff could be real valuable for the city in a lot of different ways. I know your call, like you said, your call base is quite a bit more than it was, 10 years ago.
Yep.
On a lot of different levels, you get a lot more people with physical problems and disabilities of
Right.
maybe calling out, and that's really pulls on your time. So we
Sure.
need to be able to accommodate that.
Well, you
figure
feel
out how that's gonna work.
distressed. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Nope, you're good.
You feel a little concerned when you take a new member in and they're gung ho, and then you find out in 6 months that they're like thinking of quitting because is this what I signed up for? And you have to tell them that up front, is that, we have an extremely high call volume. We're only second behind, CAL FIRE, and they have the whole county as far as calls they respond to. So, yeah, I mean, you guys know the pitfalls, I think I've been upfront about telling you those things. And if not, then, definitely I'd ask questions and go from there. We can make good improvements working together.
Great. I'd like to thank you, Chief. I
Okay,
appreciate
Deb.
it. So,
Thank you,
we'll,
sir.
thank you.
it's going back to, now it's my turn. That was, like I said, one of the things I wanted to bring up on that aspect. And I'm not necessarily saying that we say a percentage. I'm just saying that us as a council did what we did last time and say, we want this directed at the end. When we go to do our budget, we want this directed to, how we can direct that to properly fund those things. And not saying a percentage, not saying anything like that. So that way we can move forward on this whole ballot measure. But it's something that we need to address as a council because we need to have accountability as a council. And that's what we did the last time. And I thank you for bringing that up, Paul, because you are so right that the last time we did this, we have followed through on that. We've made sure that the roads have gotten better improved. I know a lot of people complain about our roads, but because of that money that we got from the tax base, we have actually got stuff done on our roads now, which wasn't getting done before. So that's a huge improvement. And the other part of this conversation is obviously why a lot of them are here, is because of the swimming pool and the aquatic park, and that's huge. We need that for our community. We need to have a swimming pool back here. No personal things involved in my part. I just want to see that in our city. It's a valuable asset to have this in our city. Yes, did I learn at Ringy Pool? Yes, I'd love to see Ringy Pool up and going again, but we don't have the funding at this point in time to do that. And this is a grant that is basically available right now. I guess I got, watch what I say. It can't be, it's not handed to us. It's a grant that's available right now that we have to follow certain criteria to meet those grant guidelines. But it's a perfect opportunity for us to move forward as a city. There's a lot of things that we value in the city. One of the things we value in the city is our parks that we have. We have the greatest park system probably in all of California. You look at Greenhorn Park and the trail system. You look at all the other parks, Minor Street and Knapp and all those other, city parks and everything. We have a lot of parks. And that's one of the things that makes our city what we are. And this is just another asset for our city to have, is to have a swimming pool where people can learn how to swim. Not is it, can they train for future things? Yeah, but they can also, as a kid, they can learn how to swim too. It's not just a training place for if you want to move on to do high level sports. It also is a place where you can learn to swim, just like I did when I was 5 years old, to learn how to swim at the Ringy Pool. And that's what's going to come down to, is we need valuable things like that for our kids to learn, to move forward on, to where they have a tool in the rest of their life to move on and to be safe and to be able to, come back and teach other kids how to swim. So there's so many different valuable assets that we have in the city, and that's just one of them. And we need to cherish those things. And that's my view on that. Yes.
I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly. So just to complete the cure and correct, we would be, I guess, seeing if there was a motion to read just as it's stated on 6A recommended city council action.
Correct. And I made a promise to Don Marie that I would open it back up to the public. So I'm going to open it back up to the public now.
Audrey, I live on 4th Street, and I wanted to ask the chief questions for the fire department. And I also wanted to ask you guys, how are we supposed to trust that you will give it a percentage other than $10 to the fire department when you already said April 5th and before that all of the money was going to go to the pool, especially you?
No.
And it is quoted
No.
saying
No.
that on the paper.
No.
So I'm just wondering, and also you talk about the structures around here. I walked here tonight because my leg felt better. But as I got to the library, I couldn't stay on the sidewalk anymore because a homeless lady was sitting there eating her lunch. So I had to get off the sidewalk, which hurt me, walk all the way around her basket in the street, her shopping cart in the street. I thought that was illegal, but apparently not. I got back on the sidewalk and she's throwing cheese. I had a service dog who is absolutely a dog. You know, he's like, "Oh, who? I mean, I'm so sure he didn't go for it because he's trained, but still, any other dog would have. And, you know, we're talking about a pool here and a fire department on the same ballot. That's not fair. It's not fair at all. And how about, let's mix this up and bring up Ringy Pool again. Maybe people will actually vote that in. Maybe that tax all by itself, if you're gonna put it on a ballot, put it on a ballot where it says, you know, your tax dollars can go to just Ringy Pool. I bet you anything you'd get Ringy Pool back, because 2 pools are not needed.
Right.
You know, we don't need the Taj Mahal. We need a pool. I'm not saying we don't. I've never been against the pool. I have been against the Taj Mahal. We don't need that. You know, so bring back Ringy Pool all by itself, not with the fire department, because you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot. And how long is it gonna be before you get the fire department put back on another ballot? How many years once this fails? Because it's not fair. People have heard you guys say that all of the money is going to this stupid pool. Not stupid, but Taj Mahal, you know? And forget the fire department. The fire department is a guise. It's not fair.
Right.
Thank
No,
you.
Good points, Don Marie. Thank you. I mean, that's something that, you know, needs to be addressed and, you know, like you were saying, how can we guarantee it? We literally can't guarantee that. As a council, we can say that we would like that to go that way. And as we're sitting here as a council, we can do that, but you're right. I mean, how do you say this is going to be directed X amount and da, 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 da. So that's a very good point. Thank you.
Lorenzo Love, live on 4th Street. The original budget estimate for maintenance of this pool was 900,000 a year. You didn't like that figure, so you took the books to bring it down, but 900,000 is a realistic estimate for how much this pool will cost to maintain. And with inflation, that's probably already over $1 million. $1 million a year to maintain this pool. How much money is this tax going to bring in? $1 million a year. So what's left over for the fire department? Not one penny. All of this money is going to go for this pool, something we don't need. We need a fire department. If you had absolute confidence that the people of Yreka wanted this pool, you could have a tax measure devoted to the pool, 2/3 vote for the pool. But you don't think that many people want it. So you're gonna basically lie about sending some of this money to the fire department. It's not gonna go to the fire department. You all know that. If you had a tax measure for the fire department, you could probably get 2/3 vote, no problem. But 2/3 vote for the pool? No. That's why you're not doing it that way. That's why you had this deceptive tax measure claiming some of it's going to go to the fire department when it's not. Shameful. I said that before. This is shameful misuse of public money.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Do we have any other public comments at this time?
Mr. Mayor, could I just make one point? And I think our fire chief could back us up. It took 3 times on the ballot for the fire department to pass Measure M. Is that correct? Measure H, yes. It took 3 times to get it passed.
All right. Is there any other public comments at this time? Come on down, please. Thank you. Got to get you on microphone. So it's
My name
recorded.
is Annette Williams. I live at 205 East Leonard Street here in Yreka. And apparently there's been a lot of homeless people going underneath the bridge, starting fires. I call YPD, I call Yreka Fire Department. Yesterday, it was so big, so smoky, the wind was blowing. I have a granddaughter that is disabled. coughing her lungs out because the smoke is going into my house because I only live like 100 feet away from there. And I have asked people, I have even went down there nicely and asked them, okay, you got to move because this is making my granddaughter sick. Okay, this is the second time I had to take her to the emergency room. I am not going through this no more with my granddaughter. I have lived here in Yreka all my life. I love this place. But this is getting way out of proportion with these homeless people. I'm sorry they're homeless, but you know what? Up on that hill, there is housing that is vacant that the city took, or whoever took it, off of where the new Yreka courthouse is at, put it up there. The houses are still vacant. Why aren't we putting these poor people in let them take a shower, let them keep warm in the wintertime, but don't have them around homes to catch on fire during the summer. And I'm sorry I have to call the fire department once in a while. And I'm sorry I got to call the YPD. But these people are getting out of hand and they come after me. You know what? My husband is getting so fed up. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's not fair to us to get this done. We need help.
Miss,
Yeah.
I'll give you my miss over here. This is the city manager.
Right here.
Oh, there,
Over
sorry.
here.
Sorry.
And I know that it's very confusing, the formality of government, but unfortunately, let me give you my card and maybe we can talk this week. If you can give me a call, but we passed the regular public comment period and then this is supposed to be dedicated to the item. But let me give you my card and let's talk and I'll tell you what we have in the works.
No, these aren't private account.
That's private property.
Okay, I'll get the address and.
And you can call me, my number is, they have it. I'd be glad to go over there with you.
Thank you for letting us know about that, because it is actually a huge,
I have a question for all of you. If you were living where I live and have a granddaughter that is very sick of smoke, and this happens every single day or every other day, what would you do?
you're exactly what you're doing.
But it shouldn't take me to come to the city council and beg them to do something because I have a mental granddaughter that can't be allowed to be around smoke. This is ridiculous. And I shouldn't have to call YPD. I shouldn't have to call the fire department to protect my house.
Right. Thank you. Sorry. All right. And that's something that will be brought up in some future stuff too, because there's some stuff that's going to be going on and with homelessness we're going to be addressing in the near future. But as of right now, we're back onto the topic of the agenda.
Right.
Is there any more public comments on what's on the agenda that we're specifically talking about at this point in time? Okay. Then now we will move to what the wishes.
I have, well, I
That's
was going to
what I'm
make a
asking
motion.
for.
I'm sorry.
That's what I'm asking
I thought you were
for.
leaving here behind.
Nope, I'm not. I'm going to ask for the wishes of the council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to go back what was just said, I think people should know that that property where those houses were moved to is private property by a private citizen. It's not city property. And I think that was a
They're a
confusion.
block from me and yes,
It's
they're not
private
habitable at all,
I know.
even in a tent.
That's another topic.
So that's another topic. So, Mr. Mayor
Yes.
and council, this is Joan Smith Freeman, for those of you on the phone, and Councilmember Freeman. And I would like to make the recommended motion. Do I need to read it, Jason? That we direct staff to, one, prepare for the Cisco County November 2022 general election, a 0.5% sales tax ballot measure for the general fund to primarily fund maintenance and operation of the Yreka Swim Center and Native Park, which the name may be changed, but project located on Foothill Drive, other city parks, necessary fire and other city services. And two, authorization to expend grant award funds to proceed the work on CEQA, property acquisition and engineering authorized under the grant And 3, in the event that the ballot measure fails, staff and its subcontractors shall cease further work on the Yreka Swim Center and prepare a letter to the California Parks and Recreation returning the grant award.
We have a motion by Joan Smith Freeman.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. McCoy seconds. I will do roll call. Joan Smith Freeman,
Aye.
Paul McCoy,
Aye.
Corey Middleton,
All right.
Debbie Barrett,
No.
and Dwayne Keig, aye. Okay, we will move on now to 6B.
It's a project list. this one,
Yes,
this one.
direct staff, recommended council, direct staff schedule meetings for further discussion and incorporate the city's strategic planning process. Mr. Jason Ledbetter.
Yeah, this is Jason Ledbetter, City Manager, City of Yreka. And so I am here tonight to introduce the project list, which staff has put together, which is obviously a fluid list that will go on through the end of time, really. And so the suggestion tonight, after I get through my staff report, is that my suggestion is that the council direct staff to bring this back probably on a quarterly basis during normal council meetings where we limit possibly having just public comment, consent, and strategic planning based off of this project list. So we can constantly give you updates and get feedback as this list items get completed and other items move up the queue and other items get added that then we would take to future budgets to be approved to work on. So staff has compiled a project list for the organization of current projects for the city of Yreka. This project list does not include the many functions and routine requirements each department performs daily. The project list is used to manage and fulfill the requirements of each project to completion. The project list is not listed in any rank of current priority. Rather, the project list has projects known to staff as current active projects within the city of Yreka. Each project has a multitude of deadlines and compliance that must be met depending on the funding sources. Staff will provide the general background of each department's day-to-day activities, which generally consist of 60 to 70% of daily operations, while projects make up roughly 30 to 40% of daily operations. In order to be successful and meet completion on our project list, it will be beneficial to prioritize based on council input and focus around those projects while adding new projects into the queue to be implemented as staff reaches completion of the current priorities. So fiscal impact has already been determined. All of these projects should have been directed at council meetings or within the budget process. So I just want to go through, I had each department head give me just their daily operational. And so I'm going to read from this here for a couple minutes. So let's start with the planning and building department. So the planning department is 2 full-time employees and 1 independent contractor, the building official, that facilitate all planning and building in the city of Yreka. The daily activities of the planning and building departments take up approximately 70% of each workday, with special projects taking up the other 30%. The planning and building department have prioritized professional development and training for employees that can take up to 5% of the workday, depending on the need of the employee and certification maintenance. One of the 2 full-time planning team members also answers walk-in inquiries at the counter at City Hall. The daily activities that make up most of the day include meetings with the public and potential developers, code enforcement, facilitating development applications with other departments and contractors, and processing applications for signs, building permits, parcel maps, rezoning, etc. These activities fluctuate depending on the season. Typically, most development occurs from April to October, where November to March were previously the slow months, but the change in weather has increased the development season to roughly February to November. The increase in applications and development interest has increased the demand for employee time to meet the needs of the public in compliance with state mandates. The Planning and Building Department operate under the Permit Streamlining Act of 1977. The act sets specific timelines for processing permit applications. Therefore, permit processing takes precedent over other special project and city initiatives. The California Environmental Quality Act, otherwise known as CEQA, Also has prescribed time periods for processing projects that the department needs to meet. Finally, the planning and building departments monitor state regulation changes and update necessary municipal code when needed. This could be a special project such as the objective design standards ordinance or day-to-day activities. I'm going to move on to human resources. The HR director position experiences a variable scope of assignments throughout each week. The position is the primary person responsible for the following duties described herein: workers' compensations claims and investigations, Department of Transportation drug testing and records management, training coordinator for harassment and ethics, recruitment and onboarding for all part-time and full-time positions, union and association issues, medical and COVID leave administration. John Elsnab's position also requires him to assist payroll, public works, Yreka Fire Department, and Yreka Police Department with any personnel related issue that may arise. Annual projects also include open enrollment, health insurance, OSHA 300 log completion, and required training compliance. The position is very diverse and can change daily depending on the circumstance. So Mr. Elsnab, the HR director, has kind of put his priorities for his top projects for 22 and 23 together. They include, which are in the works at the moment, the city compensation study, the 2023 union negotiations, the city personnel policy overhaul, and performance evaluations. When Mr. Elsnab looks at long-term strategic planning, he is thinking of our civic HR performance review automation, digital onboarding to reduce paper files, leadership and personnel training to enhance performance of supervisors. Moving on to public works. Public Works keeps the city manager abreast of all projects, concerns, issues, and politically sensitive matters related to the progress of Public Works. Meets with the divisional managers of water, wastewater, and maintenance each day. Directs and oversees the fleet division since the retirement and non-budgeted replacement of the fleet manager. Discussions are typically to address staffing, equipment, materials, supplies, upcoming and current project work. Directs, monitors, and approves divisional expenditures to ensure compliance with budgetary constraints. Consistently meets and works directly with the planning director and building department, assisting developers, architects, and engineers on current and upcoming projects. Reviews work for acceptability and conformance with departmental standards, including program and project priorities. Works with employees on performance issues, implements discipline and termination in response to staff questions and concerns. Researching, developing, reviewing, and implementing policies and procedures to meet legal requirements. Continuously monitors the efficiency and effectiveness of service delivery methods and procedures. Assessing and monitoring the distribution of work, identifying opportunities for improvement, and implements changes. Reviews the designs, materials, and processes proposed in connection with the new construction or major repairs for city facilities and improvements. Prepares and/or reviews ordinances for city council. Confers with engineers, developers, architects, outside agencies, and the general public. Attends and participates in professional group meetings. Responds to difficult and sensitive public inquiries and complaints and assists with resolutions and alternative recommendations. Works directly with the planning and building departments, assisting developers, architects, and engineers on current and upcoming projects. And finally, meets with the public at the City Hall counter to answer any and all questions which arise during the week. And then finally, the last department I'm going to go over is the finance department. The finance department is responsible for the city's accounting and financial operations. Duties include payroll, accounts payable, accounts receivable, utility billing and collections, and dog and business license processing. Finance prepares and processes the revenue and expense budget for the city, along with annual financial reports to the state. Finance assists with maintaining the city's website and prepares the community newsletter. The finance department facilitates office administrative functions, clerical support for administrators, and information technology assistance. Finance is also responsible for handling recreation and community facility reservations and collection of fees and fiscal aspects of grant reporting and compliance. Why in the world did I just read all of that? So the reasoning was just to give an idea to the public and to the council that at the moment, from my perspective, we are working very efficiently on this project list and on our daily routine. And that as we want to add more projects, we should really prioritize those to have the highest success rate before we pile on more projects, just to understand that each project comes with its own level of oversight, compliance, paying bills, meeting different standards, and different deadlines throughout a project to get completion. So without further ado, why don't we just break into this? We don't need to spend an enormous amount of time on this project list, because I would like direction to bring this back on a quarterly basis. So we're constantly touching base with council. So you have an update on the projects as needed. And then also we're adding more things to the queue. So if there's anything, if you've had an opportunity to take a look at this that you would like to discuss, I think through the strategic planning effort over the next year or so, we would like to start to prioritize by department, maybe the top 3 that you guys would like to see done. And then if this were, going into next year, coming into the winter, we would start to talk about the next fiscal year budget and prioritizing added projects into this list. So.
Great. Thank you, Jason. This was great to have this list. I think all of us find it of huge value to know where these projects, where they are, what funding sources, what everything is going on, and like you said, this is something that we're going to start bringing back on a regular basis. So, getting detailed at this point in time, it's whatever council wants, but I think it's something we, bring it back on a regular basis. We can address this and see where we're at on each issue and keep a good standings of where that is and stuff. So thank you. Yes, Mr. McCoy.
I'd like to address some of the things on here, because I did have a chance to look at it last week.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
If you don't mind.
And this is something too, I think that, chime in if you want, Jason,
Yeah.
but I think it's one of those things that, that the issues that we find on this, that Jason can bring them back so we don't get into great details tonight. Is that correct? The direction we're trying to go?
I'm looking at priorities, and I'd be
Right.
fine, if anybody interrupts me, that's fine. Just say, I agree, disagree, whatever. But if you don't mind, I'll try and make it as quick as possible so that you can go, council.
Yeah, I just have a few brief questions.
Because I think there's a lot of projects here, and I don't know, prioritizing. I mean, that's great. We definitely need to prioritize them. I'm just not sure. That might go into extensive time tonight, so I don't know how far you guys want to go with that. That's up to the council.
Well, he wanted 3.
Well, I think through the course of this being brought back quarterly till the end of days, is that we would start this strategic planning, but we can certainly engage a conversation tonight to know when we come back forward in a quarter, in a month, or whatever you direct, that we can already start the priority list.
Well, I would like to see it then, in lieu of doing it tonight, I'd like to see it brought back to like the first June meeting. And I'd like to see it be, that's what I would like. I'd like to see it be a priority for us.
Yeah.
And then it gives everybody, a chance to.
First year meeting.
First June.
First June. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say year.
No,
I'm like,
I
wow.
mean, I'm just thinking, does that give everybody enough time to look at it?
Yeah. Just it.
Maybe this would be a great opportunity because the time constraints on council nights that we do a workshop
Yes.
first and then we smooth it out.
I think that's a great idea.
At that workshop,
And we can focus.
we never vote in a workshop. It's only
No.
a working meeting. So can we feasibly, I know it's legal, can we feasibly give him priorities at that? And then he can bring the priorities back to us 2 weeks later or a week later? and Can we vote on it? Would that be?
I think it'd be a more feasible thing.
I
Yeah.
agree with Councilwoman Baird.
I think it's something, like I said, we can go into great detail tonight, but I think if we do some type of workshop,
And
and
I
we
don't
can
see
go,
we
we
need
can
it
go
till
over these,
June.
because I think this is more than a half-hour conversation that's gonna end up being one that's gonna last probably a
This is
couple
a great
hours.
list that he sent. He sent
Oh,
it to us.
it's
Awesome. It is a very informative list to see.
Absolutely.
It also shows that there's a lot going on in the city with city dollars. And again, I know a lot of us don't understand that a lot of dollars are earmarked for only one thing. They're
Right.
for water or sewer, or they're for roads. So you wonder, well, why do you have X million dollars for, water sewer? Because we're doing $4 million water sewer project, and we've got another one in Burgess. So I think this is important. It's also important for that community now.
Well, especially some of these, like you're saying,
Yeah.
some of these grants are specifically to go to certain areas. So you have
Thank
to,
you very
you
much.
have to use it in certain
Thank
areas.
you, Mr. Mayor. I
So-
yield back to you.
But yes, I think it's something now, since we have a list, thank you so much for getting this list, and staff for
Yeah, and I take
kicking in.
absolutely,
Obviously, this was you and all your staff.
I take no credit for this. This is mostly planning and finance, organizing this, and then each department working together to update
Absolutely.
this list constantly.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's a huge list where we need to spend some more detailed time on it to go over that. And that way we can set time at prioritizing and stuff. So,
Can I just make one comment? This is a great list. I thank you for putting this all together. I just wanted the audience to be aware. There are 45 active projects, I counted them, ongoing, and 5 inactive projects. And some of them are in process, some of them are just beginning. But I think that's pretty impressive when you consider the small staff.
small, yeah, exactly.
I mean, we're not like the county. We haven't got hundreds and hundreds of employees. So thank you for putting this together. And I think it's a great idea to have a special workshop and look at prioritizing, because there's some in here that I would just love to give
Absolutely.
top 3 priorities.
Yeah.
to. So
Oh, yeah, there's
Mr.
definitely some obviously that are on my top 10 too. So I think all of us.
And thank you for bringing that up. There are quite, I'd say better than half are roads, water, sewer, safety. things
Infrastructure.
In here.
Yep.
So,
Infrastructure,
Well,
right.
but infrastructure and other things. So I
It's
appreciate you
broad
bringing that
range.
up. People, I don't think people see it. I don't see it around there. That's what my wife said when I was out with COVID. She goes, hop in the car. I want to show you what they're doing here. I want to show you what they're doing there. So, thank you for bringing it up.
Jason, you want to add anything to it?
No, I will take this as direction that early in June, and I will work with
Yes.
the mayor and staff to determine the best timing for a public workshop where the public can engage us on this strategic planning.
Perfect. Does that sound good with the rest of the council?
Great. Sounds
Okay.
good.
Well, like the mayor pro tem, because she's the one that came up with the original idea a year ago. She's very good at,
Good job.
well, no, I'm just saying that. way-
Actually, this project list is stuff that we started years ago and failed to keep it coming back every year. Because I think this project list at least needs to be done once a year, and it hasn't been done. And that's why it's so important to all of us, I know.
Yes, sir.
for
Updated
sure.
regularly.
Yes, sir.
And when we did that, the last big project list was right when I got on city council. So it's been 5 years ago. So that's huge that we're bringing this back and now
Just before-
making sure that the citizens get involved in it too. And that's the reason why we're here, so they can be involved and let them know what's actively going on and what to move forward on. So thank
All
you,
right,
Jason.
thank you.
All right, we'll move on to 6C, Cisco County Museum City Map. Discussion possible action of approval of the Cisco County Museum City Map
Grace.
presented by, I think, Grace Bennett. Yes.
Former mayor. Grace
Yes.
Bennett. Gracie.
Former, lots of things. Yes, whereas she's wore many hats.
Yes,
And current lots of things. She does a lot of things. so.
Yes, she does.
Yes.
yeah. I think in your packet, you all have a copy of this, and this is just a draft. We put it together, the little teeny tiny one is just a draft of how we're going to fold it. Many maps are very difficult to fold, so we just did an accordion map to do it. Our original, and this is from the Friends of the Cisco County Museum, just so you know that too, because that's very important. The Friends took over the operation of the museum about 1.5 years ago. And there's about 10 of us, and we open the museum every day and close it, and have special events and a lot of different things going on. So I just wanted to clarify that this is the Friends of the museum. But we wanted to put the different businesses' names on it. And in working with Juliana, she said that we couldn't do that. It was a violation of privacy. So we do have a section for the minor street businesses. And I walk the streets personally and ask each one of those businesses if they would like their name on the new map. And they said yes. So I don't have anything in writing of that, but I did do that due diligence for that. We took pictures of all the buildings, the public buildings in town. And so we've kind of looked at those, and there's some of them that we can take off. We can put other pictures on. I was talking with Corey today a little bit about this, and she had some suggestions of different pictures to put on. So this, like I say, it's just a draft. It is not a finished map. And I wanted you guys to see it so that you could have input as to what else you might want to have on this map, because it's your map. And we're just the people that have come forward to put this together again. It's been probably 5 years since the city of Yreka has had a map about its streets and things. So this is our goal, to make this map as best for our current residents, our visitors, and anybody that is considering moving to Yreka. So we want to have a lot of different kinds of information on it, but we also want it to be something that people will be proud of and pick up, and very attractive to highlight the things that we have. We talked about a little bit about having more information about Greenhorn Park in it. We've talked about taking different pictures and getting different pictures here, and pictures of our historic homes and things like that. So it is a work in progress, and we do need to pay our consultant, and we do need to pay for the printing. So we do need to move the financial portion along in getting this on its way to being printed. And your suggestions tonight we'll take very seriously. And I don't know if you want to have the final project brought back to you before it goes to printing, or if you'll just, okay, so you do want to bring that back.
I would like to see it.
Yeah, I think all of us would like that. I mean, your picture in front, right off the bat, it's like, shows the museum
Mhm.
and the sign, but the sign's not complete on that one now.
No,
On the picture.
it's not. It's not. And there was a reason for that. It's because we didn't, and now we can take it.
Now you can take a picture, finally.
Yes, thank you,
Because
Dwayne, for
the
putting up our
person, the
letters.
person finally finished the sign up front.
That
Yes,
person.
yes. So we can
Wearing
take
his
it.
other hat.
Yeah, we can take another picture, get another picture in that spot. But it's been about 6 weeks since I turned this in. And
Okay.
it's been stalled through other meetings and things. So I really want to get it
Yeah,
moving along, because I thought by this time we would have it ready to go.
yeah.
So.
It also
it's-
reaches that point too. It's like we're gonna be entering tourism season here
and
real
we-
quickly,
Yes,
real
and,
quickly. And so we
um,
need to have it out. Yeah.
yeah. Our
How long does it
contract-
take to print?
It'll take about 2 weeks. to
About
get
2
it
weeks?
printed.
Okay.
Yeah, so once I get the final okay and the things that you would like put in it more, then we can proceed with that. And it'll be on a glossy paper. It'll be on nice, heavier paper too. So any suggestions?
Yes, council got some suggestions?
Go ahead.
Yes, Joe.
If I may, I wanted to say, first of all, thank you, Grace, for
Yes.
taking this on. And we're absolutely happy to
Yeah.
fund this. I think it's a great project. I remember when I was executive director of the chamber, it was one of the biggest things we did all year was to make sure that there was a map.
A map.
I just wanted to make sure that the picture on the front of the map is something that will draw the tourists in.
Mhm.
And then the pictures of the agencies, if you will, they can be more inside or on the back, but on the front, and nice, like you said,
Right.
nice glossy local picture, business, people enjoying our town, something along those lines. And I know, Corey, you've got some pictures, Discover Cisco, perhaps you could share. That would be great. That's my main thing. And then, of course, you know, I love it that you've got all the names of the businesses in here. That's good. I'm glad that you've talked to them. I see one of the business owners right here. Actually, more than one. There's several business owners here. Right, Lisa and John and Kimberly, thank you guys for being here. I'm really glad to see them on here and their number on the map so that people can find the correlation. I think that's great. So
Yeah.
I think it's looking good. I think you're getting there.
Yeah.
And I'm really pleased that Corey's gonna help. That'll be great.
Well, we're just gonna gather some more pictures okay, all right.
All right, thank you.
I would agree, Grace. Thank you. You've done a wonderful job here. I agree with John. I'd like to see more tourist stuff. I think the schools are unimportant. People that are gonna look for schools are gonna go online and they're gonna look for the test scores online for that school to see what quintile they're in, and that's where they're gonna decide whether their kids go here, high school, or Mount Shasta to high school, or Reed to high school, so I mean, I'm looking at about 8 pictures that I would take out. The hospital actually looks like it's just cars. Social Security, I guess, because I'm older, I look at that. At the transit center, maybe that's a big deal. But I mean, college, Cisco, behavioral health, sheriff's office, but there's no picture of YPD. I think we're gonna put something in, we put in a YPD picture, but not a sheriff, not an SO. Because
Okay.
they're not responsive to us. I'm gonna, I know I'm gonna be in the minority with all 5 of you, but I don't think City Hall and Council Chambers needs to be there. I know I'm in, but I would like to see the minor.
Yes,
When you
that's
come
one
into
of,
town,
that's one of our things.
I would love to see the Copper Cemetery. I would love to see.
The Popper Cemetery,
Yeah,
the old cemetery.
the Pauper
The big
Cemetery
fi-
up by.
Yeah,
by
yeah,
the
it's just
water.
that empty field.
No, there's gravestones in there, Grace.
Well, I know there's gravestones in there, but if you took a picture of it, it'd just be an empty field.
No, but I think with artistic license, you could get some good pictures there. And I think you could get some good Civil War pictures at Evergreen.
Oh,
There aren't, in California, there aren't a ton of small towns like ours. I know where I grew up, we have 1 out of 6 cemeteries that has Civil War veterans in it.
oh.
The rest don't. So I mean, I would be looking at that. The ghost town out at Greenhorn itself, if you get a good one of the lake, Minor Street Park, the outdoor museum. I mean, we've got a wonderful outdoor museum. I think
Yes, we do.
friends of the museum have done a wonderful job. Mike Hendricks did a wonderful job with it. So, I mean, those are the things that probably that I'd like to see in there. And then 3rd Street, like you said, 3rd Street would be wonderful. Whether, again, I don't know. If you take a general photo, I think you're fine. I think if you target like the Park Steel House, you probably have to get a signed permission slip or something. Even indoor pictures, like of the park, something where you have the stair rail part, it's Park Steel that the Meanders have done in their book. So, but I think that what we need to focus on, people aren't going to buy anything at the schools. I can tell you that. And
Nope.
And our calls that when my 30 years in education, 23 here, we got the calls, or they were going online to find, and it would call and say, we see you're in the 1st quintile or the 2nd quintile, and then we tell them that.
Okay,
So I mean, I think we need to focus on tourism and not government.
okay.
I tend to agree with you more on that too. The picture, like having the museum there, because that's a good tourist
Oh, that's
attraction.
wonderful.
I mean, obviously, they're gonna be picking it up probably there anyways, but still, it's a good picture. Like you said, Greenhorn, some of the main attractions of Yreka, I would love to see more of, and that's gonna bring the tourism in there. Yes,
Mudana.
yes, chief. No, yes, exactly.
Oh, that's true.
That's what I read right there,
You've
museum
got
with the fire
Mudana.
department.
Mudana and the dragon too.
Oh, yeah.
Usually show 4 things on the cover, 4 different things. One for the museum, that was important to Grace.
Yeah.
One being the statue, and you can sort of show little windows of 4 things. I think that's
Yeah.
really possible on the cover.
I think,
What about the stage?
the what?
The stage?
Stagecoach at
Oh,
the fair.
stage, yeah.
Yeah, the stagecoach at the fair. I mean, then you have, well, Cisco Golden Fair.
Cisco Golden Fair, yeah.
And then have the stagecoach.
Yeah,
Have it
exactly.
On the same,
Mm-hmm.
a double picture. Yeah, that's a good one.
Some of the things
Yeah,
that
'cause
are
I think-
highlights of Yreka, I mean, you
Yeah,
think
more
about.
highlights.
So
Yeah.
you guys are more toward attracting tourism
Yes.
rather than,
Already
and
government.
part of our thought process as a group was someone that was moving here, someone that, because those kinds of things, you know, where is the post office? You know,
Yeah.
that was kind of our thought process.
That's, yeah, it's something, I mean, think
Yeah.
about it.
get an
I think this would be
indication
more
like that when
tourism.
People are moving here, they're calling the school. They're not, and they're calling a realtor. And then they're calling the school and wondering where where they've looked online, because it's statewide. And you can look from anywhere in the world. So I mean, I hear what Grace is saying, and she's got a good point, but
Mhm.
I think we're after, I think we want to bring bucks into this county, and the way you bring them in is people stop for gas. Don't get me wrong, liquor, fast food, JD Diner, Black Bear Diner, stuff like that.
Okay,
And Jerry, you know what? Not just the outside. You've got an old La France or something in
Yeah.
there. You have got some dynamite, old, rare, at least one.
Big time.
Yeah, so I mean,
well,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, 'cause when-
Things
people-
have to be open. That's a very important part of this. I mean, if we advertise something that is, put it in this brochure and people go there and it's not open, they're
Right.
gonna think, you know, that's not a,
and
it's not
unfortunately,
viable.
in Yreka, Grace, there are too many are closed. I
Mhm.
went to one on Monday that's open on Monday and they were closed. So I mean, we don't have any control over that.
No,
I'm
but
sorry.
there are things that you do have control over, so, okay, all right, that's good information. I'll go back and we'll revise and go from there.
Because we're.
Because we had a totally different point of looking at this rather than what you guys did. And I'm yeah,
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 absolutely.
but it was, I mean, this has been here for quite a while and now we'll have to basically revamp. So we'll get it done though.
We've had it for a while, but I don't think we've met on it, have we?
No.
I mean,
No.
we've had it. I know I've looked at it because I made notes on my original, but I don't think we met with.
No,
with
because
Friends of the Museum before.
we've been scheduled and not been able to come to
Yeah.
the council meeting. So,
We have dropped
Okay.
you, you mean?
Yeah,
Yes.
that would be more of, I think
Scheduled and dropped them?
it was the pool meeting on April 5th that we were trying to focus on, and then the ordinances and the update from the general plan at the last meeting. So unfortunately, it got
Well,
pushed.
I apologize for that.
Okay.
Sorry, Grace.
that's fine. And we will need to get the check for this so that we can proceed.
Right.
Right.
And I'll bring something back soon with,
Our
So I think
finance
that's-
director is right there
okay,
and our
How much
city
is the check?
manager is right here. Between them, get them some money.
No, not, oh, wait.
okay.
Because we
Never mind,
already
I'm reading
approved
something
it.
Yes, you
Yes, it's
We already
been-
approved
Yeah,
it.
that's what I said. I thought we already approved it. So
Yeah.
yeah, we can get it. Okay,
But
good.
they haven't received it.
Good.
Okay.
So bring it
Thank
to
you,
Bill.
Grace.
Bring
Thank
it
you
to
so
Bill.
much for all your hard
Thank you,
work.
Grace. Thank you,
Okay, I'm
Grace.
gonna stay right here because the next one's. up.
Next one's is part of yours anyways. Okay.
Gold Rush Days, yes. There's some people in the
All right.
audience that have been waiting. for this.
Ready? Okay, number 7, new business, Public Works, agenda title, Gold Rush Days 2022. Go ahead, Jason.
So yeah, Jason Ledbetter, city manager. So I'm gonna let Corey Hayden and Grace Bennett take over. I just want to read the recommended action that will take place. That council adopt a resolution approving the street closures and other requests for the Yreka Downtown Merchants special event known as Gold Rush Day 2022 and approve a supplemental appropriation of $5,750 in fiscal year 2021, 2022 as the city's cash and in-kind contribution to the event. And just to clarify, $750 of that would be labor on our side and then a rental fee that we would waive. So I will, without further ado, give it over to these two fine women.
So we just take out the.
Yreka Chamber.
Yes.
Yes. Yes,
We'll just call it the Yreka special event.
correct.
Thank you, council, and Yreka Downtown Merchants who are here today in support of the event, including Mike Griffintini from the Cisco County Historical Society. He is an important part to this program as well. Grace Bennett and I are here in partnership in our mentorship with the downtown merchants to help Gold Rush Days 2022 be possible. The Friends of the Museum are serving as the fiscal sponsor. Grace has taken a lead on identifying the correct insurance through a few different avenues for the event. We have met several times with the downtown merchants to identify some programmatic elements. And this group, of course, has demonstrated tenacity and creative thinking. And it's been a joy to meet with them on several occasions. So what you have in front of you is just an initial asset to help express the program that we have put together. It is in some ways in alignment with previous Gold Rush Days. And we think it's a very fiscally responsive program as well. Responsible program.
It looks really nice.
Great. Thank you so much. Joan, we appreciate that. Some things that will be added to this, potentially the Friends of the Museum logo, Tri-County Spank, if they provide a sponsorship for the use of their parking lot, you would see their logo here. City of Yreka's logo could be on this. Some other programs that are not yet listed that would be soon are the pony rides, walking magic. We do have a gold prospecting actual booth, so youth and people can experience actual gold prospecting. Bella Arts has helped us provide face painting. And we will have a gold assessor's office, kind of a young person's activity where if they find gold painted rocks throughout our event, they can take it into the assayer's office and trade that in for a gift. So we are excited about that. Also, the antique Model A's are going to be on Broadway. They should have a few of those as well. So those are just a few things that weren't listed on the poster as I describe and point out some things. So you see here focusing on the Saturday being the Fire Hall Pancake Breakfast early in the morning, the 3rd Street Historic Hayride Tours, which is being coordinated by Mike Griffintini and Lisa Nixon throughout the day. Some involvement from the Clampers, which is a well-known fraternal organization that goes back to mining days that continues and is thriving in our community today. The key program in terms of entertainment that we have initially secured is the Scott and Sabrina Fresh and Modern Country Band. They're very dynamic in the songs that they sing and have a great presence. I've seen them perform on 2 occasions, and they're also very reasonably priced. We're trying to secure the North State Fiddlers, which comes out of Redding, California. And then generously, the county stage is coordinating with the museum to have a museum shuttle from Broadway to the museum. That's something Grace has coordinated 3 times during the event. We would have the traditional jalapeno eating contest and the kids watermelon eating contest. And so in addition to those elements I mentioned that aren't listed, like the pony rides, walking magic, bounce house, those are some other elements we'll see in the program as well. And this is very within reach. It's something where these are planned pieces with leadership behind them, and we feel very confident in the program we're presenting. Gold Rush Days is a single day event with single day street closures. We have identified some program elements that we think can occur on Friday to inspire kind of a kickoff to Gold Rush Days. Scott and Sabrina is also scheduled to perform Friday night in that area, which we think is an exciting addition in terms of an evening event from 7 to 10. But this is not connected to Gold Rush Days necessarily, but we think it's a great asset. And we, Minor Street and Broadway, have identified the Tri-Counties parking lot as a potentially great location for that kind of event. Imagining a stage with some straw bales and some tables and umbrellas that would then also be used the next day for Gold Rush Days. We think that might be a really efficient way to support a Friday event leading into Saturday. With some other elements like a carriage ride where Saturday might be a little warm for an activity like that, but Friday night might be quite idyllic. So again, it's not exactly Gold Rush Days, but we think we can prepare some things to really complement the next day. And so, initially, I've mentioned programs. I can rattle through some budget line items. I will mention items like porta potties. And Paul, if you care about budget, you can take notes on your poster if you want. But porta potties around $1,200. Scott and Sabrina, the country band, being about the same, $1,200. We've carved out the concept of $1,000 to try to get the fiddlers to come from Reading. $150 in expenses or prize money for the jalapeno contest, eating contest. The carriage rides, although that's identified for Friday, that's a separate topic, so I won't mention that one. The Walking Magic by Delbert Lee is $250. The balloon animal vendor is $250. And so those are a few expenses I could list right away. The ponies would also be $250. And so when I kind of add that up quickly, you could also imagine tables and chairs and umbrellas. I get to 4,400 pretty quickly, just naming those line items. We will have some income from vendors, probably approximately 30 vendors at an average of 50 each vendor. So there would be an income of 1,500 to help offset some expenses. We can always identify some sponsors in the community. But the 5,000 allocated from the city that you're considering this evening would go to those I would just call staple costs, like porta potties and entertainment. And that is the backbone of this event, and lots of things can fold around those initial budget items. I'm going to let Grace come up to the microphone. And we also have, like I said, several downtown merchants and leaders in attendance today. And we just really appreciate the support of the city staff who helped us prepare the resolution today, and just our working group that's working on this project. So Grace, do you want to add anything at all? You don't have to. You don't have to.
You've done really, really, really well. I'm very impressed with the downtown merchants and the work that they have volunteered to do and different things. And we've talked about different food vendors. We've talked about a lot of different things. And so it's very helpful to have a group that is dedicated and wants to work to make this a good event again. The shooters aren't on the list, the cowboy shooters. They have disbanded. So they're not available anymore. So we've tried to do things that we to replace that and do other kind of family-oriented entertainment. We've talked about having stick horse races for the kids. I mean, do a little bit different kinds of things. And the concept of the gold rocks in the assessor's office, I think that's really going to be a fun thing, because once they turn in their rock, we'll have somebody take it out to another place and put it back, so that everybody that wants to get a gold nugget from downtown will be able to accomplish that, and just bring more things to life. We've talked about having dress up contests for other people in the community to come and have, a promenade and have judges to judge the contest dresser uppers, and see if that's something that goes over well, or if people really want to come and do those kinds of things. So we're trying to get as much community support and get this back as a event for the city in the future, and to make it better and bigger and better for the city. And the Friends of the Museum were contacted when we first started this journey, because we are a 501c3 and they needed a 501c3 group to be the sponsor and take care of the funding and all of those things. And at our meeting today, we did an extensive talk about the Friends of the Museum, did an extensive time spent on talking about Gold Rush Days. So everybody at our board is all on board, and we'll move forward as best we can.
We do want to mention that there is a website holding this event. It's YrekaGoldRushDays.com. So you can look on that now and see the date and see some really attractive photos of previous events. There is also a Facebook and an Instagram already in place, all YrekaGoldRushDays.com.
Cool. I just appreciate all your guys' time and effort, especially kind of short notice comparatively in the past, you know, this whole COVID put us in a kibosh the past few years, and it's kind of a bummer because it is something that all of us enjoyed so much, you know, and grew. I worked with Corey numerous times on this event, and it was fun. It was fun. We had a lot of the hay rides. I'm glad to see the hay rides brought back again. That was one of the things we started back in the day, and another one we used to do, we'd have to think about in the future, was the dunk tank. Were you there when we did the dunk tank?
Yeah, and we had city council members in it.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah,
when Ryan was?
we tried to get it city officials and maybe like the chief of police or somebody to get the dunk tank.
Or the city manager.
Actually,
We got it
Dunsmere
out of
had it.
Dunsmere.
Yeah, the Dunsmere
Yeah,
Recreation
that was when I was
Parks and Rec
executive.
had
You can
that.
rent them
Yeah.
in Medford. I rented it for the school every year in Medford.
Debbie said she'll do it.
Can I ask
So-
a few questions?
Yes, please.
Is this affiliated in any way with our North State Chamber, our new North State Chamber?
The North Siskiyou Chamber was in attendance of our first meeting and expressed interest in providing volunteers for the day of the events. And they have since communicated really nicely with Grace regarding insurance coverage. So for the Friends of the Siskiyou Museum to secure insurance for every vendor would have to name the insurance as an additionally insured.
Other insurance?
And so when Grace brought up this topic to Crystal with the Northern Siskiyou Chamber, she thinks that she has a wider plan that may offer some more flexibility that might ease some pieces of this work. So I would say a really complimentary relationship with the chamber, which I hope is good news. We think it's a good working relationship as well, and just help maybe free up some capacity for everyone to create a great event. And this way the chamber can also focus on some other events that are coming quickly after or quickly before. And
But it's a no as far as a direct sponsorship. It's a no.
I mean, the effort to put forth volunteers. So in terms of fiscal, at this point, no,
Okay.
but in terms of in kind, absolutely.
Yeah, and I would say that the insurance piece is very critical.
So our indemnification, are we named, our stage is gonna be used. And
That's correct. And
who
so
are-
I
Who are we allowing to use the stage? Who is the actual,
Who's gonna be setting it up?
The entity.
no. Who's the individual that uses the stage? Is it the 501c3 that we refer to as Friends of the Family?
Museum.
What's the entity? Friends of the Museum.
So.
yeah, this would be listed insurance purpose wise through the chamber.
So
No,
how
No,
can
for
we?
the museum.
Friends of the museum.
Friends
They're
of the
doing
museum.
the financial.
Okay, I guess they would be renting, but the insurance is coming through
Friends of the museum.
Friends of the Museum?
Yes.
Insurance.
But that's what I'm asking, because we don't rent the stage. You and I and Matt talked about this, and I want to be clear.
Right.
We're renting it in kind. That's part of our in kind.
It's a
Correct.
contribution.
That is correct.
Okay. Who are we renting it to in kind?
Friends of.
That would be the Friends of the Museum, yeah.
So that's a 501c3.
Right.
Yep.
And then Friends of the Museum will indemnify us to $1 million for the stage.
Yeah, they'll follow the normal event protocols that we have.
Okay. Corey and I were just talking, Corey. Clambers, when you spell it with a K rather than a C, is that how they spell it?
Oh, it's okay.
In my brain, it might be a K, but if it's supposed to be a C, I'll make sure it's correct.
Clampus fightus.
I think
E Clampus Vitus is C.
Okay, yeah.
Is it?
Okay, great.
Clambers.
Great.
I
You got it. C, it
When
is.
Mark Twain wrote about them, they were,
Yes.
yeah.
I was
But the
looking at this and I was
clampers
like,
are-
Clampus Vitus.
Mark Twain wrote extensively about Squibop and Squibop Square down in Oakland, and he was a big supporter. If anybody hasn't said anything, there are single action societies from Reading South. So just because the one in Grants Pass and Medford up here, they all got old, older than me. And they all just said they're done with it. And I know they sold their stuff for the most part. But there are single action societies from here to Reno to Vegas to Tonopah and Anderson. So you might want, if you really want, you might want to check that.
Great.
And, oh, sorry, and maybe reach out to the downtown Sacramento Chamber, downtown merchants or whatever, because old Sacramento changed their whole, now they're called the Old Sacramento Waterfront. So they kind of they have a Ferris wheel now. They're changing a waterfront image where people come, yeah, like San Francisco. So they're kind of, yes, they have the old building, but they're started getting away from all the historic events that, and they put Gold Rush days down there. It used to be 3 days. They come in and put dirt on the street and whatever. So they quit doing all that. They changed the whole facelift of that whole downtown old Sacramento area. So I know there was tons of reenactment, what have you, that used to do that event that might want to reach out to them to say, are they available, or because there was quite a few of them. So that's an idea.
Thank you for everything you've done.
Yeah, thank you. It's great.
Yes, Joan.
If I may, I would just like to commend you and commend all of the downtown merchants that have come together to organize this event, because when I was executive director of the chamber and when our mayor was on there as well as Eddie, it took almost all year to organize this event. This is a big deal. So thank you guys for doing
Yeah,
this. You're doing
absolutely.
a great job.
Thank you.
There's always a challenge.
There they are.
There they are. And they've also created some great momentum already with some of the events they've done recently. So people, they're bringing people back to downtown, which is really, that's great.
Great.
Yeah, I think once we get past this whole COVID thing and maybe get some new life and excitement going on Minor Street and around there, we'll see some stuff, like we used to do the horseshoe
Broadway.
throwing
Yes.
contest, arm wrestling tournament,
wrestling.
and all the other
Bingo.
things we used to do too. So it
Oh,
definitely
you
can
did
open
that.
up.
You did the arm wrestling. You could do that.
Mhm. So
It
there's
was in
definitely a lot
Liberty
of,
Arts Park.
And we're, we've met, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. So to have this much done.
oh,
in
wow, that's
that short
amazing.
period
Good
of
job.
time, we're just trying to get something for Gold Rush Days established and moving forward.
Absolutely.
That's
No,
great.
thank you guys so much,
Thank you.
everybody. It's like, it's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Big
On
job.
Friday night, there's gonna be the ghost tour.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yes.
It's been advertised everywhere I can possibly think of, so that's one of the things. Hopefully to bring people downtown.
Right on.
That's great, Mike.
Well,
Are
see,
you
that's
gonna
what you
be
do. You get a
dressed?
picture of a costume out of the
Yeah.
Pauper
People
Cemetery.
can take pictures. I'm out there almost every week doing tours. If they want to take
Nice.
my picture.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, anything else from the council want to add?
Great job.
So we would just be looking if
Yes.
we could look at the staff report or at the agenda itself, a recommended motion.
I'll make,
Yeah, thank you, Corey and Grace.
I'd like to make the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I'd like to make the motion that the council adopt a resolution approving street closures and other requests for the Yreka Downtown Merchants special event known as Gold Rush Days 2022 and approve a supplemental appropriation of $5,750 in fiscal year 21-22 as the city's cash in-kind contribution to the event plus the stage.
Council Middleton, I will second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. I'll do roll call. Joan Smith Freeman,
Aye.
Paul McCoy,
Aye.
Corey Middleton,
Aye.
and Debbie Baird stepped out. She will not be able to vote, and I, Dwayne Cakes. All righty.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
you guys.
Stick it around, guys.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, guys.
for doing it.
Mr. Mayor, we may want to note
Let us know what we
for
can
the
do.
record when Mayor Pro Tem Baird left.
Yeah,
She's
the timing.
having trouble.
Yeah, she's definitely has some.
She has a sinus
So
infection.
we'll move on to 7B, surplus and land act, the Carnegie Building. Mr. Ledbetter again.
Hi, Lisa.
Yeah,
Kimberly, thank you for coming.
Jason Ledbetter, City Manager. So the California Surplus Lands Act, otherwise known as SLA, governs the sale or other transfer of government-owned surplus lands and requires local agencies to prioritize opportunities for certain uses, including affordable housing development for any land the entity may sell or lease. Effective January 1st, 2020, Assembly Bill number 1486 and Assembly Bill number 1255 amended the SLA to require local agencies to formally declare publicly owned property which is not necessary for the local agency's use as surplus land before beginning the disposition process. These properties may be declared either surplus or exempt surplus by the legislative body of the local agency in a regular public meeting as supported by written findings. Surplus land must follow a statutory noticing and negotiation period with certain designated entities, including eligible housing sponsors defined by the California Department of Housing and Community Development, also known as HCD. The city has no current plans of its own for the use of the Carnegie Library building. The property listed in the written findings of the attached resolution, Exhibit A, council's declaration of this parcel as surplus land and the adoption of the attached resolution are the first steps of the disposition process under the SLA. There's no immediate fiscal impact in making this decision tonight. This is just the first step. And the recommended and requested action tonight is that council adopt a resolution declaring a city-owned property as surplus land and authorizing the city manager or designee to take implementing actions necessary to comply with the Surplus Land Act. Thank you.
Do we have any questions before we? Questions? Nobody questions? Does the audience or public have any questions at this time? I'll bring it back to the council and proceed with what the wishes of the council are.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, if I may. We've discussed this issue for many years now, and I think that we're all well aware of what's going on with it. And right in the middle of all our discussions, the state passed or they made the Surplus Lands Act even more stringent. So I think that it is imperative for us at this time that, and I'd love to make the recommended motion that the council adopt a resolution declaring city-owned property as surplus land and authorizing, and the city-owned property would be the property that, the one that, yeah, the one that the Carnegie Hall is on, to take implementing action necessary to comply with the Surplus Land Act.
Motion.
This is Councilman McCoy. I will second Councilman Smith Freeman's motion on the Carnegie Library.
So we have motion and a second. I'll go ahead and do roll call. Joan Smith Freeman.
Aye.
Mr. McCoy.
Oh, aye. I'm sorry.
Mr.
Got
Middleton.
relaxed there.
Aye.
Debbie Baird is absent and I, Dwayne Kay. So now we'll move on to C, Finance. Yreka Swim and Activity Program. This is one that's, I think Joan Paul wants to talk about.
I've been working on it, and Emily's been.
Emily,
working.
yes.
You can kick it off if you want, Emily, and Retta and I have been working on this.
Emily Aldrich, Finance Director. Hi. So we obviously are still working on building a pool. So at the direction of Joan, we went ahead and reached out to the Stage, City of Montague, and the YMCA to coordinate the 2022 swim program again. Thanks to Joan and the City of Montague going out to Stage and kind of talking to them and getting them to match up with their schedules. The kids are going to be swimming twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have them being picked up around 2:30, getting back about 4:30. And so it fits everybody's schedules. YMCA has dedicated staff to staff this and ride the stage with them to and from, so that they will be managed and looked after and all those good things. Running pretty much in the same line as last year's program and previous ones. Hopefully we have a little more turnout, which would be good. We're currently asking for an additional appropriation of $5,500 to span over the 2 fiscal years for the summer program, which is 8 weeks.
And just for your information, as you know, I sit representing our city and our council on the Cisco Local Transportation Commission, and they've waived the fee for the kids to ride the bus. And they're going to have one of the smaller buses. They were concerned because coming back, sometimes the bus would be full coming up out of Hornbrook and Montague, and the kids would have to sit on the floor of the bus. So what they're going to do, and thank you, Jason, for helping with this, they're going to take one of the buses that they're working on and cleaning up or whatever, and it's a smaller bus that will be dedicated to take our students, pick them up right in front of the YMCA. And I think the kids are going at 1 and the bus is leaving at 1:30, I think.
So yeah,
We
the kid,
changed that.
yeah, the kids can get dropped off early.
Yes.
Um,
Well, they won't be able to enter the pool until after free swim, which would be 1. So getting there a little after 1:30 is perfect. And then they will be back at the YMCA by 4:30 for the parents to pick them up. And they have, the YMCA has 2 employees. This funding is gonna pay for that. 2 employees. We found out that 1 wasn't quite enough. You know, somebody had to take a break, or restroom, whatever. So they have 2, and it's usually their college students that are there for the summer working for the YMCA. And we worked with Brandon and Scott, and he said that those employees are available on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And the city of Montague said there are other, I think there's kids coming in from Grenada on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So the Tuesday, Thursday works best for them. So last year we had a total of like 80 kids, and there weren't more than 20. You know, there were anywhere from 12 to 20 on any given day, but the total was over 80.
Yeah.
And so we paid $250 each for them, and so it's actually quite reasonable.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
very
Emily.
much.
Sure, thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, does council have any questions?
No, it's wonderful.
Absolutely not.
So
I
then
have a
I,
comment, but I'll make it after we're out to.
so do we need a motion to approve? correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I will make the motion. Hang on, let me read it.
And I'll second.
Oh, hang on.
We gotta wait.
I'm
The
sorry. Hang on a
recommended
minute. I'm just-
motion.
It'll be on page 3 of your,
Right.
of the agenda
December
now.
2022. How about if I make a motion and you second it? I make a motion that we do the approval of the summer 2022 Yreka Swim and Activity Program at the Montague Community Park and Pool for the city, Yreka's youth, and the approval of a supplemental appropriation of $5,500 to be allocated between FY 21-22 and FY 22-23.
Council Middleton, I will second
Oh,
the
so
motion.
change gears on
We
it.
changed.
Okay, all right, we have a motion, a second. We'll go to roll call. Joan Smith Freeman.
Aye.
Paul McCoy.
Aye.
Corey Middleton.
Aye.
Debbie Bear is absent. And I, Dwayne Gay. Awesome. Concludes that part. We'll go on to number 8, city manager and staff reports.
Jason Ledbetter, City Manager, City of Yreka. So this is my staff report for 5/3/2022. Seemed like a busy few weeks here. Attended the Highway 3 Caltrans Public Open House on Tuesday, April 26th, just to get an idea and represent the city as to the Highway 3 project. Later that evening, I attended the Yreka Fire Safe Council meeting on the evening of April 26th with Chief Lemos. I did it remotely. Mr. Lemos was in person. Some very interesting modeling and hotspot maps were shown for the city of Yreka that can be useful in future hazard mitigation efforts for defensible space. Awareness for the need of a hazard mitigation planning document that can help us seek more grant funding to address projects for fire safety. And so as Chief Lemos and staff and myself work up a plan at the direction of you earlier this evening, one of those items would be to start the process of hazard mitigation planning, seeking grant funding for that document, which opens up a variety of more funds to be used for defensible space or similar projects to Hiram Page. I attended the Friends of the Library meeting on the evening of Wednesday, April 20th. Attended the Cisco Economic Development Summit yesterday, May 2nd, where the focus was on outdoor recreation for the entire county. Staff and I met with the Economic Development Council on Friday, April 27th, as part of our normally recurring bi-weekly meetings with the Economic Development Council. We discussed events planning with the new events coordinator at the EDC. And we'll be having a follow-up meeting this Thursday with Quentin and staff to discuss our options for alleviating the financial burden caused by the Highway 3 project on local businesses. And in the future, talking to Corey, we will also be hopefully vetting out the use of the events planner in the future for items such as Gold Rush Days or other events that we want to see in the city. Assistant City Manager Retta and I met with a member of the public today to determine what measures can be taken on the streets near the Burgess Street community and help possibly push a larger project with Public Works to have the greatest impact when we start the sewer project in that neighborhood. The theory here being that if we're already mobilized, we'd like to capitalize on the best project to happen at one time rather than mobilizing twice over a 3-year period. Sorry, I got to read my handwritten notes here. Also Monday, 5/2. It was been busy. Crossroads groundbreaking ceremony took place. A number of you were there. And then finally, on the pool side, I'm working with Elizabeth and the county for the property acquisition, and the attorney is currently working on the ballot measure. And then I want to thank Chief Gilman and especially Lieutenant Ray Booton for getting me this summary about the shopping cart ordinance tonight. So this is as of 4/27/2022. All stores requiring shopping cart permits have completed the applications. This took multiple visits to all the stores, discussions with store managers, and finally arriving to site for no permit to gain compliance on 75% of the stores. Second stage is gaining compliance with removing currently stored carts from the city yard. All stores have until the end of April to comply. Walmart is the largest violator at the moment, with, I think there's about 300 carts at the city yard. The goal is to have each business contract with the cart removal company to not only respond to carts at city yard stored by code enforcement, but to monitor city and remove all carts so code enforcement won't have to pick as many of these up. The biggest issue with the ordinance will be collection after billing for stored shopping carts. Some claim their corporate office will not pay. All have been educated and informed on what will happen. I think the planning director had put together a code enforcement. It may be bi-weekly or monthly, but I'm sure we'll be discussing this with Chief Lemos and Chief Gilman and the planning director on how we want to attack the administrative side of this. If businesses do put a serial number on all carts and mark with appropriate language, business name and address, officers can issue citations to individuals who possess the cart away from the business property. So that is all I got, folks.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Been a busy boy. And then thank you for doing the follow-up with that citizen over on Burgess Street area too. Appreciate that. I'm sure that individual is very glad to hear from you and know what the plan is for their neighborhood. So
Yeah, it went very well. Retta and I spent the afternoon over there, and we're not making any promises, but I think, as I told the individual, I am the person that brings people together, and Retta is the brains behind the operation. So we're gonna figure something out.
Yes, she is. She's awesome. Thank you. Does any other staff have the reports? They're all wiggling their heads.
Actually, it looks like Retta may want to come up and
Oh, good.
say a couple things. Oh, yes, thank you very much.
So in the pursuit of the unhoused issue, and specifically in the pursuit of a warming center, working with Supervisor Ogren, I have the opportunity to discuss with another board next. It happens to fall on our next meeting date at exactly 6:30, but I think it is imperative that I be there to hopefully finalize or begin to finalize the plan that we have put together with the Cisco County OES, Cisco County Behavioral Health, and the city we're looking for this final piece. We think we have a lot of good traction, so I would like to attend that. And in lieu of that, or in knowledge of that, is it possible, I guess, to get direction here that we would possibly start that meeting possibly at 5 o'clock that day, giving me time to exit, or we would have it at 6:30 and we would have to work with staff that we currently have. I would assume that our assistant city manager would sit in my location, and then we would need somebody obviously
Is
to
this,
operate.
What, this is the next meeting, or what meeting is this?
This is the very next meeting, so 2 weeks from tonight.
So it's the 14th, no, it's the 17th.
The 17th, yeah, would be. As far as that goes, I myself would just say we continue at 6:30, just so we don't confuse the citizens.
Yeah, I
Because-
could not make it.
What's that?
I could not make it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
That's fine. And so just so everybody understands, that's a priority, I think, for the city, for the
Yeah.
members of the public. And so I will be attending that. And then after that meeting, I will follow up and come here, but we'll work with what we currently have to have Retta sit in my position and then have somebody work the Zoom.
Retta has done that before.
Yeah, I think-
during my term, so she's been very effective at it.
I think she's well,
She can handle it.
well trained for the position.
And I personally, I mean, as council, support you to go there. I think
Okay.
it's-
Now,
I
this
think
is for
it's
the
right
warming
thing for
shelters,
you
is
to
this correct?
do.
This is for the warming center.
Yeah, we need to
Emergency
get-
warming.
You guys have got some great ideas,
Yeah.
and it looks like it's moving along.
Yeah,
That's great.
All right, thank you.
Cool. Thank you. All right, any other staff?
I think that's all.
Then I'll open up for
Joan.
councilman's report. Joan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I went to some of the same meetings that Jason went to. I went to the Caltrans community meeting. And it was pretty sparsely attended, wouldn't you say, Jason? But they had these huge, gigantic one-piece maps that showed the whole city and exactly when and where they were putting, they had it color-coded, you know, what's going to be in asphalt, and what's going to be in cement, and what time of the year they're going to be working on it. So they do have all that information, and they could probably bring it up here if we want them to, or give them the information. But it was informative. And they had some handouts that gave you the dates that talked about what time of the year they're going to be putting of the 2 years that they're going to be working on it. And then, of course, it's going to be wrapped up in 2024 probably. So it's going to be, this year, they're starting in June. They're not sure of the exact date. They said it might get pushed back to July, but sometime in June is what they're planning on. And then they're going to be wrapping up in like June of 2020.
Yeah, somewhere in the
Somewhere like that.
late term of
Anyway,
24.
so it was interesting, and there were free cookies, so you guys missed out,
Oh,
and
man.
water and free cookies. Anyway, that was really nice. And then I think it was right before that, the Cisco Local Transportation Commission meeting I told you about, and we had a meeting right before the meeting over at Stage with the mayor of Montague and with everyone involved in the pool, taking the kids over to Montague Pool. Also, let's see, I had a Housing, Community and Economic Development Zoom meeting this week, and there's a lot of bills on that. And I'm just gonna have to get you a copy of all the bills that the League of California Cities, Cal Cities, is working on, supporting or opposing. And it was interesting because one of the things that was discussed at the state meeting, at the policy committee meeting, there are many, many, many cities in the state of California, mostly rural, mostly small towns, and some smaller than us, some quite a bit larger than us, that are having a hard time affording their fire departments. And so the League of California Cities is looking for a way that we could ask for funding from the state of California to help pay for fire staff. Now, this is in the beginning process, and I will bring you back an update when this goes forward. But the legislature has been listening to us, and they realize that there's a lot of cities that are suffering. And there's, as you know, I mean, we've had more and more fire danger. So I think the state is paying attention, and we hope to get something passed this year that would give us some funding. And we hope it would be ongoing, but anyway, I'm working on representing the city on that. I also had a Zoom on the nominating committee. I think I let you guys know that I was asked to be a member of the nominating committee for board members and officers for Cal Cities, League of California Cities. And we had an initial meeting and it's going to go forward. We'll get the big pack of applications soon that I'll be going through, and then we'll have another Zoom meeting, and then we'll have an in-person meeting. So that's going forward. I also attended the Cisco. It used to be WIB, now it's SWIB. It's the Cisco Women in Business. Our Yreka chapter has grown, and now we're taking in members from all over Cisco County. And the group that was in Mount Shasta is no longer active, so we have some of their members that have come up. So we had quite a few people there from Yreka. In fact, some of the people I see here tonight were there at the meeting as well. We have quite a few women-owned businesses in this town, right, Corey? Aren't you working with one? A woman-owned business. Yeah. So anyway, so that was really interesting. We went around the table and then the women talked about the businesses that they're involved in. Also, I wanted to let you all know something exciting. There's going to be a masquerade ball murder mystery dinner in town. It's going to be at the Elks on May 21st, and I'm going to be a countess, so you should come. Anyway, I don't know yet if I'm going to be killed. Nobody knows about the murder mystery, until you get there that night. And
Right.
you get your script. But anyway, I have tickets for that if anyone's interested. So that should be fun. And I also had a birthday. And my sister came up from down south. She traveled 6.5 hours to spend my birthday weekend with me. So that was really nice. Thank you. Yeah, 29. Yeah.
My wife goes the opposite way.
She does.
Instead of, so if you're, like we're 54, so we go the other way. We go 64.
Oh,
Yeah,
and say,
'cause-
boy, you look good for 64.
Exactly. See, that's the whole method behind it. Yeah.
It was a good 2 weeks.
Wow.
Busy.
Good. Hey, Corey?
Okay,
Change up on it.
I'll make it quick. This weekend, the fairgrounds is having their Mother's Day market, and they call it the Cisco Spring Fest. So they're having that event this weekend. I'm gonna be Saturday. It's gonna be supposed to be not great weather, but no rain, but cold. But they have several bands. I'm gonna be manning the Friends of the Fair beer booth and hot chocolate and sodas and water. So if you're gonna come out and see me, all our proceeds plus tips go back into supporting the fairgrounds and the improvements that they do, because a lot of people don't know what the Friends of the Fair is, but we do have a foundation that does contribute a lot of some monies that we get to use that paid for the remodel of the beer gardens and putting the new refrigerators in for the beer kegs. And then also the last project was the Wainema Hall, remodel of the Wainema Hall.
That's really nice.
So hopefully we get to use it soon. Cal Fire has been using it ever since
so
it's been
Cal
done.
Fire appreciates it.
I think they had one event and now Cal Fire is back
Yeah.
there. So it's remodeled but beautiful. So that comes from the big monies, but then also the bartending services, and then also the beer booth at the fair. And then also the event we do out here, the monies we raise for after expenses and tips, also we give back to the fairgrounds for any improvements or projects that they need to do, because their funding was cut from the governor several years ago. So they don't have money to do improvements.
Their budget was gutted.
Gutted. So it's a great organization I'm involved in, and giving back to the community, and it's such a staple in our community for our youth. And the junior livestock auction, we give back to them. So it's great. So if you're gonna need something to do, come out. They're gonna have lots of vendors, 4 bands, I think, kick off at 1 o'clock on Saturday and run to 8 o'clock, 6
So
o'clock.
it's at the same time, I forgot to mention that the same time that the Rotary Cisco bicycle event's gonna be next weekend.
Yeah, so it's
Starting
Saturday
at-
and Sunday. So
Ours is just Saturday.
I'm just going Saturday to,
Starts at Greenhorn
Yeah.
Park, and it goes all over.
yeah, so they have a market, vendors, food, bands on Saturday. I don't know about Sunday, the other bands. I'm gonna be there quite early from
Right on.
like 11 to 8, so I'm not gonna be there on Sunday. was going
I'll
Saturday
send
to
some
work.
bicyclists over.
But great event. Too bad the weather's not gonna be nice like it was today. But hopefully they get, I know,
Supposed to rain this weekend, I think. isn't it?
yeah, so I think that's it. I'm gonna just say that, come out and support the fairgrounds and the events. I know last year they had the outdoor market and it was very successful. People are looking to get out after COVID, and we are just especially these nonprofits and we're so thankful we're getting back these events for Barca because our accounts were looking very sparse, and we count on the events and to support our nonprofits. It was looking very ugly for us. And now we've kicked back up. And so it's nice to see some funds coming back in that we need for our community.
I
So
heard a rumor, are you president?
I'm the president of the board.
fair?
Mhm.
Congratulations.
Oh, thanks. No one else raised their hand. They were looking at me. So I'm like, I was looking at somebody else, but it's good.
You probably got tricked into it. Said, does anybody
A
want some
little,
food?
our last president resigned and didn't finish her term, and they looked at me and no one else was raising their hand. So I said, I guess I'll do it. But no, it's a very great organization. And like I said, it supports such a huge staple in our community to redo. So talk about aging buildings. They have a lot of the aging buildings too that need to be redone. And so doing this organization and helping the fair out is and the fairgrounds is much needed. So, and they have a lot of changes coming up for the fair this year too. A lot of changes. They have a new rodeo promoter. They have somebody that's new carnival coming in. So a lot of changes, and sounds like Cliff has done great to revamp the 2022 fair.
Wow.
So it's gonna be great.
When I was
So,
president
I'll
of
end with that.
Yreka Rotary, 2013, 2014, we painted all of the concession buildings and all the tables. Wow. That's the last time they were painted, I'm sure.
Probably. Thank you, Corey. Awesome, Paul.
Lori, I will begin referring to you as El Jefe. Okay, you're gonna have to look it up, JEFA, but now that you're the president, you're El Jefe. You're El Jefe, not El Jefe, El Jefe. I want to first I'm gonna try and shotgun through a little bit, but John, you have been busy. I know you're doing personnel, you're doing rewriting, you're working on with the city manager on rewriting policies and things. I really appreciate it. I thank you very much, because I come in to see him and then I usually see you, and I know you're constantly busy and I know what you're working on. And it's just a lot of, and I know it from education, it's a lot of just stuff that you got to do and you got to have it in place. And I appreciate it, man. So, Retta, you have stepped up to the plate. I mean, and again, Jason, speak for highlighting me, but I look at the stuff looking at like the Burgess Street and stuff like that you're working to get money for, and and the ins and outs, and I think it's probably exciting for you, but I thank you very much for stepping up to the plate. Also, she's stepping up to the plate as our county clerk. We've got this council and this city have gone through a lot of turmoil. We have met 8, 9, and 10 times a month in open and closed session.
Not lately.
Well, no, not
Jason,
since
thank you.
Jason got here, but and I'm going to talk about it right at the end. I've talked to you about today on the phone. We have met a lot, and
And we wore Debbie out.
the council, the
evidently.
council, I know people they can complain what they want, but I'm going to tell you that the 4 of you have come together with, the 5 of us have come together, and we've had to make some pretty major decisions, and we've been hit with things we didn't know were coming. And this office staff and this council has worked well together. So,
I agree.
thank you.
Great staff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's the first time that I thought that I've sat down to think about it was today when I was talking to you. Really, I mean, I think he and I've talked about it, but I mean, we have just been hammered.
We have,
So,
but it's gonna get better.
I want to thank you guys for all your support through my COVID. The only thing I can say is I had rheumatic fever for 2.5 years, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And I was out all of 2 weeks of 5th grade. And I think I was down to 38 pounds before my dad actually diagnosed it with the doctor.
said testing for this and this and this. I have never felt worse in my life until then, you know, and I laid in bed basically for the better part of a year, about 45 weeks. So I want to thank you for all your support. I want to, here we go. I want to, I've talked to a number of people just in passing, and they have stopped me. I have not stopped them. They are older. I will say that. I'm going to qualify. They're my age or older. They have given me, I think 3 people since I've gotten out of COVID have told me how excited they are, either A, about going from traffic from 4 lanes to 2 lanes. I thought people would probably complain more about it, but they said, no, we need to slow traffic down on Main Street. So, I mean, that makes me happy. And then about the beautification of sidewalks and things, especially ones who I think, you know, the old Thrifty building, they're gonna do something. I said, yeah, they are. They got something planned for, you know, for the sidewalk. So that's a lot of positive feedback. We're gonna get negative feedback. It's gonna be hard on business. But I think, you know, city, we're trying to work with them in order to make sure that we don't hurt their business. We hurt their business as little as we can. I want to remind, we all know, but Lola is in Tule Lake. And I plan to go, so any of us that can, because I know Tule Lake's that's a fur piece, but if we can go, it'd be a feather in their cap too. You know, so it's kind of cool.
It's in June. Is that June or July?
I think
It's 3 months.
I think
so
it's
we have
July.
April, May, June, July.
I think it's July, yeah. I'm going to be meeting with Judge Langford, Don Langford, in regards to
Retired
Beacon of
judge.
Hope stuff. Yeah, yeah. And I'm looking forward to that. He texted me. I'm looking forward to talking more about Beacon of Hope there and then see, you know, where they're going to go. I think they're going to start hiring out some things since they have a little bit of money, but they're still about $70,000 short. They were meeting tonight. Let's see. I know. I'm usually.
I thought they got 100,000 from
They
the
did.
Yeah.
casino.
So they
Yeah,
need
but still.
$70,000 to finish the outside.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's sidewalks, driveways, gravel, sewer. I think sewers if it isn't hooked up now, it will be hooked up by the end of the week in water. Boncella was working on that.
They were working on it. They got all the electrical done.
Yeah.
Electrical finally got done. Steve finished that up, Renner.
Oh, good.
Yes,
Yeah.
Steve, yeah. He did finish it, huh? Okay, good. Friday is a drive-through dinner for anybody that's interested for search and rescue. And
Where?
I want to say community center in Montague.
Oh,
But if you go on Facebook, you'll see it there. Steve Renner's got it on there, Roselle Roebuck. And they're gonna have their new van out there, which they use that they just got based on 1,600 dinners that they had sold and a grant they got.
awesome.
So, and Jerry, I'm gonna tell you, it was interesting for Steve Renner to tell me, we get people that go out and get stuck in the snow 3 and 4 and 5 times and call us to come rescue them. And he goes, we finally tell them, no, we're not coming. So it's everywhere.
Yeah.
I did want to, oh, come on, I think this is it. I guess I probably should give up. I want to thank Chief and the whole staff who worked, and Willow and everybody who worked on shopping carts. Thank you. I know that was something I think Don, you asked about, or somebody did. And I know it's something that I keep bugging him about. He's like, no, we're getting it done. So I appreciate it. Because there are a lot out there. Let's see. I guess lastly, I want to toot a horn here because I'm very proud. We had our grand opening for our new credit union. And I sit on the board. And so it's been a long time coming. We've been working on the building for over 1.5 years. The design took another 1.5 years and the planning took several years. And then there were times when the planning stopped because of recessions and things.
It's beautiful, Paul.
Thank you. It's a very nice building. We're getting membership. We're increasing membership every month. I mean, you know, we get 16 or 18 members. Now people see the building and they come in and they join. So it's wonderful. Finally, Jason, I want to thank you personally for what I feel you have done for this city in the short time you have been here. I want to thank you for your dedication to staff.
Clap for him.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, but I really am lucky to have this staff. I want to make sure that's clear.
Well, yes.
Definitely got an awesome
I want to
staff.
thank you for your dedication to the staff. You've been very compassionate when issues have come up or people get sick or whatever. You follow through on things as a city councilman.
Mhm.
It's wonderful to work with you. I'm not saying anything negative about anything else or anybody. It's just different for me to have somebody like you who follows through and somebody that gets up and says, here's my card or call me. I'll talk to you tomorrow about those houses and homeless and stuff.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. You're to be commended.
Well, thank you very much. I
Thanks.
appreciate that.
No, I agree. Just like, I said, I'd add where, we talked to the citizen on Burgess Street, that's been a hot topic on, this came forth in front of us for, well, at least for the last 5 years I've been on city council, that they've presented that they want something done around Burgess Street and that. And he went and spoke with them, and talked to them and at least got them, to where they understand that there's something's going to be done. It's not tomorrow, but it will be done, and they're making a plan, and that's good because at least they know that the citizens don't get pissed off at us then. It's.
Well, I'm going to yield back to you.
Thank you. And it's, so it's good. We appreciate that. And the other thing add on, like I said, the cleanup around town that's been great with through the PD station, through Willow and the public works and stuff. And I don't know if people pay attention, Deer Creek, how much that's gotten cleaned up. And so now they can actually walk through there. The people around Deer Creek can actually walk through there. They've been cleaning up all over there on the Greenway, over off Oberlin's gotten cleaned up. Up there, Lower Greenhorn Park's gotten cleaned up. One of them got burnt down, so Chief Lemus had to deal with that one, but one of them got burnt down. And I know Chief, they were talking earlier about the fires underneath. Chief gets called out to that, probably 3 times a week on somebody having a fire underneath one of the bridges around town.
Yeah, that one in particular, I actually got squirt water on here. Yeah, she's right on. I know the PD, yes,
It's
quite a few times.
it's a pain in the butt, and that's where coming into, we've been having lots of discussions on the critical infrastructure ordinance that's soon should be coming towards us, all of us as a council to examine and hopefully move forward on, because that's going to be one of those situations that we can start remedying these problems where that, we have those issues of critical infrastructure, whether it be under bridges that can burn up, ruin a bridge, destroy a bridge, which has happened before, or in a place where we're worried about is down the Greenway and a fire takes place and burns down our city. So this is one of the things that I'm glad that moving forward, and both the chiefs and public works and Jason and everybody's been working diligently on trying to get this going, and it sounds like it's on the right direction here soon. So we should get that up and running to where we can keep our city safe. So I just commend everybody for doing that. And it's been a lot of work. This homeless issue has been one of those pressing issues that we're going to get, I can't say fixed, but we're going to put a good Band-Aid on it. It's not going to be fixed probably in our lifetime, but it'll be one of those things that we can put a good Band-Aid on it and get it to where we're not running, scared in town anymore and having these critical infrastructure. The county's working on an actual shelter. I don't know if I know about the actual shelter. If you heard about that I just heard about that yesterday. So the county's actually working on an actual shelter, which will be good. In conjunction, if we can get the urban campsite up and going, we can put a good dent on the problems of this homelessness. I attended the Cisco Crossroads groundbreaking ceremony on Monday. So that'll be another thing that's going to help on some of the homelessness. There's 50 units, and 25 of those are for low income, not homeless, but low income. And then the other 24 are for people that could be experiencing homelessness or on the edge of homelessness. People that, the rumor around town is that there are going to be crazy people running up and down there. It's not true. These people will be screened through the county and will be safe for the environment, plain and simple. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. They have to go through screening through the county employees, through the behavioral health workers. So these will be people that will be safe to be around other people. So I know that there's all these people that are spreading rumors, and it is a rumor, that these people, individuals will be safe that is going into this apartment complex. So, and it's much needed for this area. I will have, if we could put on the agenda, just an informational thing. I'll be bringing back all the numbers for the homelessness in Cisco County. We finally got the numbers there a week ago.
Oh, this is a point in time.
Yeah, the point in time count. We finally got all the numbers back. And so I'll do a,
How do they look? Are they up or down?
we're a little bit up. Actually, it wasn't actually as high as I anticipated, but some of our numbers didn't get achieved in some of the avenues due to COVID, right? We had that COVID outbreak right during our point in time count, literally, that I lost probably 3 or 4 of my key volunteers through behavioral health. So they didn't get some of their numbers, but field work, we did good on getting the field work and getting some of those numbers there. So it'll be interesting. I'll bring back those numbers. I'll be on that. Tomorrow we have our COC meeting at 1:30 at Red Oak Room. So if anybody wants to go to that, there should be a little bit of information spread on that. We'll probably have a little bit of point in time, but there's some other talking on some of the issues on homelessness. But other than that, what's that?
Oh, before you finish up, Debbie texted me, Councilman Baird, and just wanted to apologize for her exit. And she wasn't feeling good, but didn't want to be disruptive to the council or to the meeting. So she wanted to apologize.
Sinus infection.
So she wanted me to say that. really
Yeah,
fast.
no, I'm glad.
She apologizes for
Yeah,
leaving
poor
and
gal,
making the
she was
exit.
not sounding good at the
And
end.
she apologizes, but she said that she didn't want to interrupt the meeting and the citizens. And so she is
I'm surprised she
home.
was here.
Made it
She
to
was
Yeah.
long. She
sick.
did. Yeah, she did. No, I'm glad. Alrighty then, at that, we will meeting adjourned.
Well, it occurred to me that I hadn't turned on the iPad. It's working. That's what my kids always tell me. I'm so glad you're better. You're really what? Oh, yeah, the short bus. Yeah. Yeah, those are cute little buses.
I'm still on the short bus.
No, you got a big truck now.
My dad's, did you see it out there? The silver one?
Oh,
I got rid of my
no.
blue truck.
What? No wonder I never see it. Now you have a silver one?
My dad